York Giant fans. Doing the show today on a Sunday. Don't normally do that, but
yes,
kind of we had to do it on Sunday today. But excited to be here, Baddog. What's going on, my man?
how you doing? Yeah, normally when we do Giant stuff on Sunday, it's usually a disgraceful loss, so we don't have that going for us today, which is obviously a good thing. But yeah, man, it's better than nothing. Is really, it's not like we had to have a set day for the Giants because it's not like there's a game or they played a game. But
yeah,
draft is 3 weeks from Thursday, which we're getting there, man. We're getting there. And I say it all the time. When my vacation gets here, it'll really fly by. So I really got 9 working days and we're good.
Let's go.
We'll be there. So it's good. Matt, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, dynamic duo, give me Eichmann sauce. We're going to be talking a lot about the New York Giants.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a popular combo amongst Giant fans. We'll see. There's so many ways they could go. We were talking right before we went live. Not really any news. That's why I haven't made a video in 3 or 4 days because there's really not much to talk about. I'm not looking to force content. Kind of waiting on the James Bradberry trade if and when it happens. And outside of that, I think it's a wait and see approach until the draft. You're going to hear rumors. I know that we went to the pro day of Evan Neal a couple of days ago, Kayvon Thibodeau as well.
Yep.
We don't even know if those guys are going to be there, but I'd be very happy on draft night if we get either one of them. Let's say hello to a couple people in the chat. Hitman in the chat, Kenny in the chat, King Zone in the chat, Davey in the chat, Sly Cooper in the chat, T Flow in the chat. Thank you to everybody for being here. We're going to kind of feed off you guys tonight, field some of your questions because like we were saying earlier, there's not much in terms of current events right now for the Giants.
Big shout out to 313 Hitman. I've known him for a long time. My man in Motown. He says, are the Giants looking for a tight end? I think we'll draft one later in the draft, but yeah, we definitely need a tight end. At some point, somewhere, somehow, we don't have a tight end except for Ricky Seals-Jones. We have nothing there. Chris, I've been watching other content creators, and I can make the same video every day like Philly 500 does. How many DK Metcalf videos am I going to do? The Eagles got to trade for DK Metcalf. The DK Metcalf's available. The Eagles got to get him. DK Metcalf, an Eagle, DK Metcalf, this. And Mark Holmes is starting to do that now. What the hell? I'm just going to start doing that. I'm going to just AJ Brown
no
a Giant.
We have no money, so we can't even dream about things.
What the hell? Why not, though? Because have you ever seen an Eagles content creator mention a trade that actually happened? Because I haven't.
Good point.
Not seen it happen.
Good point. What's up, John?
So we can do that.
For sure.
I love Philly 500, but my God, every day I'm like, didn't you just make this video like a day ago? What are you, Mark Holmes now?
I've seen a lot of Jet fans bring up the possibility of bringing in DK. That one makes sense because they have cap space. They were looking to acquire a wide receiver. They got beat out for it. So that one makes sense. And I do think Seattle, if for the right price, is going to trade him because Seattle's sellers right now. They traded away Russell Wilson. So I think it makes sense, but I don't see him going to the Eagles.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely not see him going to the Eagles. Why do the Eagles even do that? Draft a wide receiver. You got 3 first-round picks. Draft one.
Same thing with
of course, we all know their track record of drafting wide receivers. That's why I'm all for them drafting one.
Good point.
Pencil Man, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Went with the Sprite tonight, so very clear. He says, have you or Chris heard about the linebacker from Nebraska, Chanel, 6'2", 254, 47, had 8 sacks and 115 tackles in 11 games? Think he would be a fit? I can't say that.
I actually mocked a linebacker from Nebraska to the Giants. That was not the linebacker that I mocked. But I have heard about him, yes. I haven't looked too much into him. I have heard about him. But I did mock a linebacker in the 4th or 5th round to the Giants. That was not the guy I mocked, though.
I can say this. Nebraska, according to the fans, or according to Ohio State fans, because Nebraska played them very tough, best 3-win team ever, Nebraska. 3-9 under Scott Frost, and the greatest 3-win college team you've ever seen. Of course, they almost beat Oklahoma too, but then again, everybody almost beat Oklahoma or did beat them, so that's not saying much either. But
I had JoJo Doman was the linebacker I had from Nebraska, but he's like a 4th round guy, 4th or 5th round guy.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see exactly. Again, the Giants have so many options, and I'm just excited about it, man. This is why people are like, it's why people do 40 mock drafts, because they're like, we got to get one right eventually. But like you said, we always have one big surprise during the top 5. It happens every year. So
I think like mocks, like it's, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's at least somewhat realistic to be able to predict what the team may do in the first round. After that, you're throwing darts at a board. It's just fun after that. You don't know who's going to be there. Nobody thought Xavier McKinney was going to be there when we picked in the second round the previous year.
Or Aziz Ojulari last
year. No. So we could say that we think they're going to do this in the second round, but there's going to be somebody that drops. There always is. It happens every draft. So I think after the first round, you're throwing darts at a board. Everybody's got their favorites, but we'll find out on draft night, which way they go.
The interesting thing for me with the draft and everything is the quarterback situation. Like, I'm curious if there's going to be that team that does panic about a quarterback and jumps up there to either get ahead of, Carolina at 6, or if there's going to be somebody that jumps up ahead of us at 5, thinking that, maybe somebody would trade the Giants at 5, or again, try to get up ahead of Carolina, like you mentioned the Falcons last week. So, it's very interesting.
I definitely think we're going to be looking to trade down. I definitely think we're looking to trade down.
I think we should. I think we should take one of those picks and trade down if that's possible. Now, I've talked about this before. My dream scenario is they get Ekwonu and then they trade back and they get Linderbaum later in the draft. That would be the greatest thing ever for me as far as this draft goes. But if they doubled up on defense again, I'm not going to be heartbroken. And it's not so much because, I am a defensive guy, but I have to trust Joe Shin's track record that, he's done well finding good offensive linemen later in the draft. So I'd have to rest on his laurels and hope that that's the case. But it'll be very interesting to see exactly how this plays out. And I'm excited for it. I see some people ask me about streaming the Yankee game. I work 7 to 4 on Thursday, so I can't. It's my son's birthday on Thursday, so there's no
Happy
way.
Birthday.
Yeah, little Baddog's gonna be 5, man. It's crazy.
There you go.
Amazing how fast he's growing up. It is crazy to think that he's gonna be 5 years old. That's insane that 5 years went by that fast. But yeah, so the Yankees might get rained out. It looks like it's going to rain, and then they play Friday, and then we'll see. But I'd have to go get him from daycare anyway. So streaming in the middle of the day is really difficult for me, if he's not on vacation with me. Let me get some of these real quick. Johnny Laterno, he says, Stella! Thank you so much, buddy. He says, and stand up to the closet Eagle fans and to the closet Phillies fan. Chris, with free agents last year, it's more of a Gettleman or more of the clown show because last year was promising.
Well, I don't know what he means. I'm trying to.
I think he said, is it more of what Gettleman did, or is it more of like the coaching staff and all that? I think that's what he means by the clown show.
I think it's both. I think Judge had a ton to do with the personnel moves that the Giants made as well. So, like Logan Ryan, for example, I thought the second we made it, that was much more Judge influence than Gettleman influence. So I think it was a combination of both. I think Judge had his hands all over the roster, and obviously Judge coached the players. So I think it was a combination of Dave Gettleman, who put us in a really bad situation, and Joe Judge. Both of them had to go, and that's what the Giants did.
Yeah. I don't know how much coaching Joe Judge actually did. He was on the sideline. I don't know what he was doing over there besides wasting timeouts and running quarterback sneaks on back-to-back plays. But, he showed up every day. We could give him that. That's more than I could say for half of our players. He showed up. Matt, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. He says Trey McBride or Ruckert.
I'm going to say Ruckert just because I don't want to take a tight end in the second round. And I think that's where Trey McBride's going to go. I don't see him getting to 67. And if the Giants were going to take him, they'd have to take him at 36 more than likely. I don't want to take a tight end at 36. It's a deep tight end class. I think you could get a guy like a Ruckert in the fourth round. So I think there's 3 or 4 guys they could target in that 81/112 pick area at the tight end spot. I wouldn't spend a second round pick on a tight end. That's why I'm not on the Trey McBride train.
I completely agree. I think the Giants have more pressing needs than a tight end. I think, again, the trenches in the secondary are very important. We will address the tight end at some point in this draft, but I would not be using pick number 36 for Trey McBride. I mean, they could trade back. I still wouldn't want to do it in the second round. I think you got to get more, because it's pretty much, you're right at the beginning of the second round, so you could easily get a first round talent there. And I would rather the Giants just address, more pressing needs. I think a tight end is more of a luxury position to have a guy that can be. That's what they did with Evan Ingham that year, and totally killed us. We could have TJ Watt that year. Good job. I mean, you know, I mean, it just,
like
you know what
said,
I'm saying? I mean, God Almighty.
Like
you know,
you said, man, we have just way too many other needs on this team, in my opinion, especially being that by all accounts, there's not a superstar tight end in this draft to begin with. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for me, the Giants, to spend the second round pick on a tight end. And that's what they'd have to do to get McBride. So he's not on my radar. Second round, I'm looking at potentially an edge rusher if we don't take one in the first. You're looking at potentially a safety. Safety's definitely a need as well now that we lost 2 safeties. Cornerback if we don't take one in the first. Wide receiver is a possibility. Like, there's so many possibilities, but for me, tight end is and a guard as well is a possibility. But for me, tight end's off my board. I'm not taking one there.
I agree. Anyway, Giants, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. How is Hamilton, Neal, and Thibs dropping in mocks? Well, I mentioned earlier because they have to do every mock possibility so they get it right. That's why.
Baddog, we say it all the time. The year we took Andrew Thomas was being mocked second overall, you know, maybe a week or two before the combine. And there were mocks a week or two before the draft where he was like 20th.
Yeah.
So you can't go by mocks, and who knows what's going to happen. I don't believe any of the noise about Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm praying he gets to the Giants. I don't believe it. I've heard for multiple years now that he's the most talented player in this draft. I don't think he's going to go first, but I do not think he's getting a 5. I don't believe it. I don't believe the noise. I hope to be pleasantly surprised on draft night. So I don't think Thibs is dropping past 3 for the latest. I think the Jets will snag him if he's there. Hamilton, I think there's legitimacy there. He had a underwhelming pro day. He ran like a 4.7 40, and he doesn't play the most important position. So I wouldn't be shocked if I see Hamilton, say, drop to 9 or 10. That wouldn't shock me. Thibs, I don't see. I don't think Thibs is getting to the Giants at 5.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, the mock drafts are as dependable as the weather in March and April in New York. You really don't know what the hell you're going to get. And that's a fact, you know. Hirsch, thank you, brother. Really appreciate it. Says Baddog and Chris, my guys. Today's my birthday. Well, happy birthday, buddy. He says, happy to top the day off with 2 of the best in the business. Love you guys. Keep up the great work, both of you.
Happy birthday to you, my man. Thank you for popping in, buddy. Appreciate it.
A lot of April birthdays.
Yeah, a lot of April. November
yesterday. My wife and my son coming up very soon. So, yep, both of them. And there we go. The Imp, thank you for the super chat. He says, happy birthday to the bad pup. Thank you.
What's going on, Imp, man? Thanks for popping in, buddy.
The little man. The little man. My favorite video of him ever is on the swing, man. I watch that video of him swinging every day. It's just his smile makes me just how happy he is that he learned how to swing. The little things that you know, what the hell?
Well, we need it. We need the little things. We need the little things.
We do.
We're Giants fans, so we
need
the
things that amuse a 5-year-old. Like the fact that he was, I love picking him up from daycare that day, and the teacher said, Kevin said, I'm so proud of myself that I learned to swing. I said, good, he should be proud of himself. Imp, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. He says, how could you know what Judge was doing when he didn't?
It's true.
It is true. That was wow. I just can't possibly think we could ever go through another year like that.
I do. I think I say that every year, and it gets worse. So
I hope not. I don't know how we could possibly be worse than what the hell that was last year.
I don't think we'll be worse this year. But I'm not going with high expectations. But I mean, last year everything just went to hell. Whether it be the bad coaching, the horrible luck with all the injuries. I mean, the entire team got hurt. So and we went in with raised expectations. Like this year, I don't. Even if we win 4 or 5 games, I don't think it's going to feel the same way.
No, I agree. I think that they'll somewhat be competitive and at least they'll give some effort. I mean, because there was games, man, it was just the offense was so inept. It's like it defied reality how bad they were. You know, it's that offense was like a 5-year-old playing Madden on, you know, Hall of Fame level. That's right. What it looked like. You know, it looked they didn't belong out there. And I've always said a college team couldn't beat an NFL team, but I'm telling you, maybe they couldn't have beat them, but Georgia would have given the Giants hell. The team that they put on the field, the last one with Jake Fromm, a quarterback, Mike Glennon, a quarterback, the Georgia might not have beat them, but they would have been damn close because the defense is pretty damn good.
They would have had a shot against that team. They would have had a shot for sure.
Duran, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Look at that. Look at that thumbnail. I'm talking about right. That's a Tecmo Super Bowl.
Lawrence
Maybe
Taylor,
Lawrence
right?
Taylor.
Yeah. I love Tecmo Bowl.
I like that. Greatest football game ever made.
All time.
Definitely. Definitely. I think that's what it is. He said, who would you move back into the first four? I think it would depend on who was there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, Durant, I've talked about my dream scenario is one of those interior offensive linemen drop to like that 25 range. And whether it be a Linderbaum, whether it be, one of the two guards, Zion Johnson or Green. If one of those guys drop, that's something I'm interested in potentially trading up. If I don't take an edge at 5 or 7 and say a guy like Jermaine Johnson drops back to that same area, and, I'm a fan of his. I think that's what I'm looking to trade up for, an edge if I don't take one with my first 2 picks, or potentially an interior offensive lineman. That's what I'd be looking at.
Yeah, I would have to, at that point, probably trade up for need and best player available. But, I mean, the thing of it is, I don't know how much, how much, if you're moving from 36 to 26, you'd probably have to give up your 36 pick. And
sure, you give up 36, maybe a future 4th or maybe Bradberry with the 36.
Well, that would make sense. If they can move Bradberry,
yeah,
that would make perfect sense. But I don't want to give up too many in draft. Like I said, I don't know how much that would take to move up 10 spots from 36. If you only have to give up a future 4th and there's a player you really like, I say go for it. We tried this once before and it failed with DeAndre Baker. But
say you trade Bradberry, you get a 3rd or a 4th and you use that pick with the 36.
That'd be perfect, because that really in turn is trading Bradberry for
Bradberry in 36 for 26. Right. Yeah,
and you clear the cap space, which would be huge for the Giants because Lord knows they need it. Pencil Man, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. You guys know Giant fans have shown kills with the draft. There will be doubters. Always says.
There's no way we're going to know if Shane kills it with the draft for another 2 or 3 years. We're going to, I'm sure a lot of us will feel that we're excited about the draft. We'll see. We got to give it a few years to analyze it. There should be doubters, if we're being honest. Nobody should be sold on Shane yet. The guy hasn't done anything yet. So Let's not get carried away. But let's give him a fair opportunity. That's my mindset going in.
Yeah, there'll always be doubters. And at the same time, if Shane is terrible, there will always be defenders. It's just, it is how it goes. There's still people that defend Daniel Jones. There's people that want to give Daniel Jones no chance. There's people that defended Gettleman. Actually, there's probably very few people that defended Gettleman right up to the end. Now that I think it probably wasn't anybody defending him.
The last year you couldn't defend going into the year with the draft. It made no sense.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely not. That was it's awful. Pencil Man, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Says, got to teach this son how to rant about the G-men. Don't wear your clown mask on his birthday. Well, we don't have to worry about it because there is a Yankee opening day, but there is no, I'll listen to that at work. I will put in a little headpiece and listen to it on MLB radio. Definitely. But yeah, I don't think I'm going to have to teach him. I think he's going to have that. That's a genetic thing. I think it's in his genes to rant.
All he's got to do is listen to you. He'll pick it up.
He's Italian Irish. I mean, that's, I think you're born with that. But, I'm sure he's heard me go off on the Knicks, on whoever the hell, the Yankees, when I'm not streaming. He's heard me go off on it.
I see a lot of people say this, but I just saw it in the chat. Hitman says a lot of disdain for Bradberry. I have no disdain for Bradberry. It's just looking at it logically and seeing that right now the Giants have $1 million in cap space. They have the lowest cap number in the entire league, and they have to spend $16 million on the draft pick. So theoretically speaking, we're negative $15 million in cap space. The only real way to do it is either A, to trade Bradberry to free up $11 or $12 million, or backload a ton of salaries. Me personally, I don't want to backload salaries. I want to start rebuilding this football team. So it has nothing to do with James Bradberry, the player. It's the circumstance. It's realizing that Bradberry, even if he were to stay here, is probably only going to be here for another year because he's a free agent the following year, or you're going to have to backload a ton of money and commit further cap space to him, which probably is not the best idea for a rebuilding football team. So it's just a situation where it makes the most sense for our team currently to probably move on rather than further commit money to guys like Kenny Golladay, guys like Leonard Williams, or potentially really backloading James Bradberry's contract. It has nothing to do with not liking him as a player. He's a good player.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's more of a cap casualty, man, is what it is, because we're in such poor cap space. And, by backloading contracts, you just delay the inevitable. You're not getting out of salary cap hell by backloading it. You're just pushing it back. So he is a good player, and the Giants should be able to get something for him. Somebody could definitely use James Bradberry. We could use James Bradberry because when we get rid of James Bradberry, we don't have our secondaries are already thinned out because they got rid of Logan Ryan. And Peppers is, coming off an injury. You don't know if Peppers is coming back. So
no, he's with the Patriots.
Oh, I didn't even notice. I didn't even know that.
He's with the Patriots. It was like
so we're thin on safety. We have Love and McKinney there, and that's it. And if we lose Bradberry, we really have just Dory Jackson, and then you're kind of sitting there wondering what you have, or maybe they could go after Sauce Gardner or Stingley in the draft. But yeah, if we had the cap space to keep Bradberry, I don't think anybody would be like, it's not we want to get rid of him. It's just they need the money because
it's realizing the situation we're in.
Yeah, but Gettleman put us in such a poor situation that we unfortunately have to lose good players to bring in guys that we have no idea how good they're going to be. So it's a bad situation. That's why we're in. That's why I've been the worst team in football in the last 5 years for these reasons. Yuri, thank you, brother. I really appreciate it, my man. This is finally draft season's here. More like meme season. We're going to get 2 reactions for each first-round picks. This is true. Giants better not screw this up. Fix the line once and for damn all.
I don't think unless they do something ridiculous at 5, even if I don't love the pick, I don't think I'll flip it because we pick right after. We pick 7th. So say we pass up on a tackle I think we should take. I'll be like, all right, let's see if we get him at 7. So I don't think outside of something absolutely absurd happening, I'm going to have a ridiculous reaction, at least at the 5th pick this year. If they say they take Kenny Pickett, I'm flipping out. If they do
I was just going to use that name.
Yeah.
If they take Kenny Pickett, I'm going off.
Yeah, that I will flip out about. I don't think that's happening. But that is probably the only scenario where I see myself flipping out this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Lib Hunter, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. My man, he says, who do you realistically want to go in the first 4 picks to set the Giants up at 5 and 7? Would you want Willis to go or be there for trades? Oh, I would love Willis to go in front of us. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll give you my dream. I'm not saying I don't think it's going to happen. But my dream top 4, I already know Hutchinson's going before, so I'll put him in there.
Yep.
Hutchinson's gone. Somebody trades up for Willis, or the Lions take Willis at 2. Yep. He goes in the top 4. That's a dream scenario for me. Trayvon Walker, who people seem to be really high on, who had a really good combine, he's moved up mocks. He goes in the top 4. And one offensive tackle goes in the top 4 because I think that will happen. So let's just say Ekwonu or Neal. You pick it. That's my dream scenario because one of Ekwonu or Neal gets to me along with Kayvon Thibodeau and Sauce Gardner. So if they end up with any 2 of those 3 players, which in that situation they would, that to me is a dream scenario. If we don't trade down, that's my dream scenario.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you have the pick of Thibs, Sauce Gardner, and Ekwonu or Neal, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to get better. I don't think you can miss out on any 3 of those picks. The Sauce would be the last one that I'd wanted of those 3 guys, but I'm not going to be upset because I would understand the need for Ahmad Gardner without a doubt. The lockdown corner is extremely important, especially this day and age because it's a passing league. It's a passing league. So,
and in that situation, let's just say that happened, which I don't think it will. And we'll talk about this when we do our week leading up into the draft. I'm sure we're going to do tons of mock drafts. But if that situation were to happen, I personally, if I'm the GM, knowing the team behind me, because you have to take that into account this year, I think I go tackle first. Even if Thibodeau is there, I think I go with the tackle first because Carolina needs a tackle. Their offensive line is god-awful. It's probably worse than ours, and they potentially could take a quarterback behind us. I think I take the tackle there, knowing that Carolina would probably take Neal if I passed on him, and there's still a good chance I'd get Thibodeau at 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense because Thibodeau would be awesome, but at the same time, if the Giants get 2 linemen, I'm going to be happy. I mean, I told you, I'm speaking your language this year. I'm all about the Hogs, baby. I'm all about the Hogs, or whatever you want to call them. Not the Hogs, because Gentleman's not there anymore. So what do we call them? Big men?
We call them the bulldozers, maybe.
Bulldozers.
The fatties. We call them the fatties. That works.
The biggins.
The biggins, yeah.
Like Al Bundy, the biggins. The biggins. Horny Tainah. Thank you for the super chat. Great. I don't know what that is.
Love that picture.
Yeah. Guys, what happened to Chris and the Baddog? All I see are 2 goats.
We're here, man. Appreciate you being here, buddy.
2 goats. We appreciate it. Thank you. Andrew, what's going on, buddy? something other than hi. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Hi from WrestleMania.
Hi, Andrew. Hope you're
So
enjoying the
this
pay-per-view.
this is what I don't understand about WrestleMania. Is there 2 nights at WrestleMania now? I could have watched it. It's on Peacock. I have Peacock, but I
I have
don't.
no idea. I know it's usually on Sunday, right?
It was, but I thought there was a WrestleMania thing last night too.
Was there? Maybe they extended it.
Stone Cold, I think, wrestled last night. I gotta watch that back. I watched 57-year-old Stone Cold stop a mud hole in someone's ass over what they do now. I don't care. I love Stone Cold. Speaking of Austin, thank you so much, man, for the incredible generosity. I really appreciate that. He says, with the draft picks we have, we need to spend $16 million. Either we get rid of Bradberry, that only gives up $12 million.
Yep.
Where's the other 4 coming from? If we don't get rid of Bradberry, then how are we going to afford them? P.S. Yuri, hashtag go Baruch College.
Great question, Austin. There's a couple things they could do. If
you mentioned backload contracts, restructure contracts.
Yeah, well, here's what they could do. Option A is what you just said. Let's say we trade Bradberry. Like he said, we have another $4 million to make up for. We could trade down in the first round. That can make up for some of the money as well. If you trade down from, say, 7 to 20, that probably saves you $3 million right there.
Yep.
And the other thing is you can make other small cuts on this roster still. Shane Zimenez, for example, could save you $1 million. Darius Slayton could save you 2.2. Julian Love could save you 2. Not saying we're going to cut these guys, but there's options on the roster. I just threw out 3 names that the Giants could still cut to free up a couple of extra $1 million. Or like we did with Graham Gano, you could identify a player that you think is going to be in the long-term future of this football team and backload a little bit of money there. Like when they backloaded the money with Graham Gano, I think they backloaded like $2 or $3 million to make a couple of small signings. It made sense because Gano was going to be here. You're not really killing the cap. So I'm not worried about the cap. If they could free up that $12 million, the Giants will be just fine. There's a lot of options, like Baddog said.
There is. The one thing I'll say is, that's these guys' job. That's the GM's job, is to figure that out. That's why I was up and people were like, "Oh, you should be the GM." That makes me feel good, but man, I don't know how to do all that stuff. That takes skill. Some guys are definitely better at it than others. I don't think I can mess up worse than Gettleman did. But, what was it, Chris? What was the question one time? Was it the head coach, or when you it was someone on Twitter said, if you were the GM or you're the head coach, how fast do you think it'd be before Baddog would turn on you?
Oh, yeah. I said
you're like a day or something. I said, no, I like you. I'd give you 2 weeks. King Drizzy says Stone Cold was awesome last night. I have to watch that. I'll have to watch it.
Yeah. I didn't even know.
I heard the match was 20 minutes long. Guy's 57, still kicking ass. That was great back then. I loved wrestling back then.
Well, Ric Flair wrestled till he was like 110.
Yeah, he did. He did. Austin hasn't wrestled in 19 years, so that's what's impressive about that. Ric Flair just continued to wrestle. Ric Flair's body was.
He was the nature boy.
I don't know. I think he shrunk 6 inches since the beginning of his tenure, though, because he got beat up so bad. Michael Giovanni, thanks so much, brother. I really appreciate it. What up, fellas? Hoping for an O lineman at 5. Go G-man. Let me ask you this, Chris, with the O lineman. If Neal and Ekwonu are both gone,
okay,
what are we doing? I know the Giants like Charles Cross. I am not a big Cross guy. But is that who you're looking at?
That's what I think we're going to take.
Okay.
If they're both gone, I think we are taking Charles Cross, and I wouldn't be upset about it. I've watched it. I don't like you. I don't do film breakdowns of these tackles, but I've watched some of a lot of guys that I think do good work, and I think Charles Cross is actually a really good lineman prospect. He's supposed to be the best pass blocker in this class. He's got good technique. People talk about that he's not the best run blocker, but he played in an air raid offense where he didn't really get much of an opportunity to be a run blocker. I like Charles Cross. The one question is,
which doesn't bother you that he'd have to play on the right side? It doesn't.
People talk about that. Not really. And if the Giants were to draft him, I think they'd be fully confident, obviously, that he could play on the right side. So I think that's what we're doing. If those two guys are gone, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't even be shocked if the Giants take Cross over one of those two guys. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm not saying I want that, but I think we're going to tackle no matter what at 5.
I just got to bring this up because Giants fans are bandwagon. I just think that's funny since the Giants community is one of the biggest on YouTube.
And he's a Rams fan.
Has some of the probably has the most content creators of all people, and the support in our streams is pretty much overwhelming, regardless of the fact that we have won 17 games in the last 4 years. Bandwagon is not the word that I would use to describe the Giants fan base, but it is interesting that the guy's name is Go Rams, and he's calling Giants fans bandwagon. The irony made me laugh.
They just won a Super Bowl.
Rainbow Garment, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Pat McAfee was supposed to wrestle. Did he?
Interesting. But yeah, trust me, the Rams have a much bigger bandwagon right now than the Giants do.
I just found that it didn't even matter that I noticed the Rams thing after the fact. I just, like I said, bandwagon Giants. I don't think that's the case.
No, definitely not.
We haven't been good in years.
We don't even have a wagon.
No, we don't. I don't even know what the hell we have. Our wagon's been in the shop. The wheels fell off.
We're trying to keep as many fans as we can.
Right. It's amazing. It's amazing how not only is the team really bad, then your owner spits in your face and says, "Oh, for every season ticket holder on the account, whether you have 4 tickets, 14 tickets, or 1 ticket, you get one free medium soda for that." And they're still there. So
good for him.
That was just pretty funny. I like that one. I like that. It was pretty good.
He'll be a Giant fan once the Rams suck and we get good in about 30 years.
I hope it's soon. I hope it's a little sooner than that. Listen, according to history, the Giants should make the playoffs this year. Right? They made it in 81 when I was 5. I've told this story 1,000 times. 76, Giants were the worst football team they'd ever had in 1976. I was born in 76. They made the playoffs in 81. I was 5. And then they made the playoffs in 84, 85, 1 in 86. Well, my son was born in 2017. It was the first time the Giants ever lost 13 games in the franchise history. He'll be 5 this year. So
I hope the math is right.
And then we stink for 2 years, and then there we go.
I hope the math is right. I've tried the mathematical equations with the Mets for years. It hasn't worked. I always used to say they won in 69, 86, 17-year gap. That never happened. Okay. But I hope your math works for a little bit, though, because we deserve the playoffs.
Doing whatever I can. I'm trying to do my part. I don't know what the hell that means, but it's tough. It's been a rough few years, for sure. Justin says Carl Banks thinks we should win the division.
I actually I did it a while ago. I did a Twitter live, and he came on unexpectedly, and he talked to me for about 20 minutes.
Yeah, you said that.
He didn't say, at least in mine, I don't know if he said it somewhere else. He didn't say that he thinks we should win the division. He said that we should at least have the expectation that we can win the division, that we could compete.
Yeah, they should expect that, definitely.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if he thinks that we should win the division. I don't know if he's picking us, because I don't think we should, to be honest with you. You never know, right? It's why they play the games, but I don't necessarily think he's like saying we should win. He thinks that we should be able to compete from within it.
They should feel that way. I mean, the Giants players shouldn't go into the year going, we have no chance. And I saw somebody ask about the Lakers. The Lakers played at 3:30 today, and my wife was out all day. I wasn't going to stream that game anyway because of the weird time, but I did a collab with Derek at NYY Recaps at 3:30 today. I mean, I watched the game. They lost. They lose every game. But, I'll do the games during the week, and then we'll get into the NBA playoffs without the Lakers. They're done. But
they're done at this point.
I'll still do the 3 games, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll still do those. I did. Kenny says, did you see Daniel Jones and Drew game? I did. I called that game. That game was awesome.
Yeah, it was a great game.
That was a great. I don't do much college basketball ever. It's rare, but I was like, you know what? When you said you had the cards and you couldn't do the show, I was like, you know what? I'm free, so I'm like, let me do it. It's Duke, North Carolina for the right to go to the championship. Let's do it. And I was hoping it was a good game, and man, that was
as good as it gets. I mean, three-pointer down the stretch.
That was a good game.
Yeah. I think North Carolina. I said it after the second round when North Carolina beat Baylor. I think they're winning the whole thing.
Kansas is good, man.
Kansas looks great, but I think it's gonna be a great game. But I think North Carolina's gonna win. I said once the Sweet 16 got there, whoever won that UCLA North Carolina game, I thought was gonna win the national championship. And Carolina's freaking good, man.
They are.
But
Mark
Kansas,
said after the first half, they're like, they're winning it all.
yeah, it's gonna be a great game tomorrow.
My man always in the Lakers chat. He says, I'm not always injured, dude. Anthony, you're always disabled.
He played today. He
got hurt, but
yeah.
he came back. He did have a good game today. It was pretty funny.
I was watching that game a little bit today.
It was pretty funny. Why?
Well, because I guess it had a little juice to it, right? Because it was like if they win, they could potentially get the playoffs.
They do what they do every game. Sometimes they get blown out of the water. They're done after the first 5 minutes. But most of the year this year, they played well for about 42 to 43 minutes, and then the last 5 they just sell it, and that's what they did again. They're old, man. I think they run out of steam. It's an old team.
Yep.
So we'll see. What else we got here? Just looking for something there. Rams own Tampa Brady, right? Get some more free food. I don't know really what else we got, but yeah, man. I don't know if we discussed this. Chris and I discussed this after the show last week. So I love to keep bringing up that I'm on vacation because it makes me feel good because I like vacations. Vacations are good. It's fun to have vacation. The first week I'm on vacation, the draft ain't there. My wife's also on vacation. My son's off. It's recess for his school. So, I'm probably going to go up to Lake George sometime, but obviously, I was streaming and shit, but you know what I'm saying? The next week I'm on vacation. My wife's not. She goes back to work. Little Baddog's back in school. It's the week leading up to the draft. So Chris and I discussed it, and it's looking like we are going to do like a midday show every day that week. So what's that? The 25th, right? The April 25th, 26th, 27th,
and the draft the 28th.
We're going to do like 11 to 1. We're going to alternate channels, which, by the way, guys, if you haven't done so, hit the like button. Thank you for being here. Hit that subscribe button to the channel. Make sure you ring the bell because you're going to want to be here for all the draft coverage. Obviously, Chris and I cover the entire draft. More importantly, make sure you go into the description if you haven't. If you don't know this man, I don't know where you've been, but subscribe to the Entertainment Talking Sports, first thing in my description. But yes, we're going to do that. I think it'll be a lot of fun. There's obviously going to be a lot of rumors. There may be trades. There may be all kinds of crap. But we're going to do that, like I said, from like 11 to 1 or something, kind of a 2-hour block during the middle of the lunchtime. It'll be like lunchtime with Chris and the Baddog.
Yeah, we'll do like 3 or 4 days leading up into the draft. Yep. Maybe do a mock draft each day, do different scenarios, and just talk about the various rumors because that's when it starts to heat up, right? The 3 or 4 days before the draft, that's where things start to heat up. You start hearing, things that actually may come to fruition. So, looking forward to that.
So that'll be fun. So Chris gets to hang out. God bless his soul. He gets to hang out with me not only for 20 hours over the weekend, but the extra 8 hours during the week. The poor guy is going to need therapy by the end of that.
I watched the Giants. I
went back to work. Yeah, for sure. Scoop, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. He says, once a giant, always a giant.
Stand up, New York Giant fans. What's going on, Scoop, man? Thanks for popping in.
What I'm going to say, Scoop, is not always. Let's not claim some of these clowns. Let's not claim Joe Judge.
No.
Let's not claim Evan Ingram.
DeAndre Baker.
Let's not claim Yeah, there's some guys that don't need to be Giants forever. There's some we can forget about for sure.
Yeah, Eric Flowers, he's gone.
Ryan, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. Bates Jones, DJ's brother, plays for Duke basketball. Yes, somebody mentioned that when I was talking about. So when I did the game, I was saying they were showing. Kenny Smith obviously was an announcer, went to North Carolina, and I'm like, Kenny Smith hit that freaking luckiest 3 of his life against the Knicks in Game 7 of '94. I'm like, damn it. I'm like, you know what? Now I'm rooting for Duke. The hell with Kenny Smith. And then I'm like, oh, Daniel Jones played for Duke football. Maybe I should root against Duke just for that reason. I didn't care who won. I just wanted a good game, and it was awesome. Krzyzewski, I mean, what a run at the end of it. And again, to go out against North Carolina is just, there was just something special about that. It's the first time they'd ever met in the tournament. I thought it was the first time they'd ever met in the Final Four, but they never met in the tournament.
That's insane.
Which I couldn't believe, but yeah, that was pretty awesome.
But yeah, I did know that he actually transferred. He went to, I forget what school. He played basketball at another school, and then he transferred to Duke this year. But he doesn't play much. He comes off.
No, he didn't get any time last night.
Yeah, but I knew he played for Duke.
He did not. I tell you what, that that what the hell's his name? What was it right there? Ben Carroll. I didn't want to say
He's gonna be the first pick in the draft.
he was good.
He's gonna be a top 2 or 3 pick in the. And I'll tell you
Yeah,
another guy who I think the Knicks might draft is on Kansas. Is Abaji? I think it is. He's a shooting guard.
Yep.
Because he's gonna be right around where the Knicks are picking. I could see the Knicks drafting him.
Yeah. Armando Baycott had a big one too. He had 21 rebounds.
He's a monster.
Big kid.
Yeah.
That was a good game. Abe, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. Do you think Mara is undercutting Shane by saying they aren't shopping Barkley? Same old, same old. Well, I think what Mara's saying is he's not going to come out and go. I don't think you ever want to come out and pretty much say a player's on the trading block. Like, I mean, how would it make you feel if you're a player and you're hearing all these trade? We're looking to trade Barkley. We're looking to get rid of Barkley. We're looking to get rid of Barkley. And then they don't. Kind of like with Bradberry, he's hearing all these rumors, and there's a reason for him to be traded. And I think he would know this, but how do you think it feels like we don't want the guy? We're trying to push him off on somebody, but he ends up back here. We're pretty much saying we don't want you here, but we're stuck with you. So I don't think they'd ever actually come out and say, yeah, we're looking to get rid of him. But I said 2 years ago, they should field calls for him. And I think that if somebody offers, he could be traded.
To my knowledge, Abe, as far as the Barkley thing goes, I think Shane was the one that came out and said they're not looking to trade him. If I'm not mistaken, I think Shane was the guy that said that they're not. They've received calls on Barkley, but they're not. Which is exactly what he should say. Like, even if they're looking to trade Barkley, he'd be dumb to come out and say publicly, "Yeah, we're shopping Barkley." You lose leverage on a player that you don't have much leverage with to begin with. So that was the way I took that. There's not much of a market for Barkley. He's not looking to appear desperate, and he doesn't have to. They still have Barkley under contract. And if I'm Shane, I go into this year unless I get knocked out of my seat with an offer that I don't think that he's worth right now in terms of draft capital. I go into the year, hope to improve the offensive line, increase his stock, and if I get blown away mid-season, if the Giants are say 2-6, you make your move. But no, I think that's a smart move by Shane. I don't think he should be, even if the Giants are potentially looking to trade him before the year starts, he shouldn't be saying it because you lose leverage.
Yeah, I completely agree. Rory McGovern says, do you still have the Judge's playbook or did that go to New England? No, that went to my bathroom. That's for that one. Jason Johnson, thank you so much, brother. Really appreciate it. Who would you guys take if we traded down to the 20+ range? I'm thinking if Linderbaum fell there, that's, like I said, that's dream scenario for me. We get Ekwonu at 5. We trade down with Pittsburgh so they can move up and get Malik Willis. We get a bunch of their picks, and Linderbaum sitting there at 20. We end up with him. That's the guy that I'm looking at.
Yeah, it's so hard for me to say because I don't know who's going to be there. But for me, Jason, if we trade down to 20, I think you're probably looking at an edge or an interior offensive lineman. I think that's what you're looking at. I think that there will, like I said, maybe a guy like Jermaine Johnson falls that far. I don't know if he will. If he does, a guy like that is someone I'm looking at. Like Baddog said, Linderbaum, potentially, if he were to fall into that 20 range, is a possibility, along with some of the guards, Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green. So I think that's what you're looking at if you trade back to that 20 range. Unless somebody, that you don't, somebody drops that's ridiculous that you don't expect. But outside of something like that, I think you're looking at the guard, center, or potentially an edge if you don't draft one at 5.
I would just love to trade back and be able to get one of those positions and get future firsts. So that's how you build your team, especially with all the cap space they're going to have.
Basically, be what we could have done in 2018. Traded down, gotten a guard, built for the future with future. Not that we would have traded back that far, but built for the future with future draft capital. It would basically be doing what a lot of Giants fans wanted to do in 2018 now with the start of this rebuild.
Yeah. Live under Z, thank you, brother. Really appreciate it. He says Sam Williams is a defensive end out of Ole Miss that the Cowboys will pick because he has a rap sheet on my arm, but he has upside. They pick criminals every draft. That's Jerry Jones.
Oh, he'll be a Cowboy then. He'll be a Cowboy.
Man. Any publicity is good publicity for Jerry. That's Jerry.
He'll be a Cowboy.
I hope Jerry Jones lives to be 150. I do. I hope Jerry Jones lives to be, I don't know how old he is now.
I'll tell you what, the Cowboys this offseason, you're starting to see we talked about it for a few years now on this show. When they sign Dak, things are going to start to unravel. Plus the Zeke contract. The Zeke contract is really what's killing them. When you look at Zeke's contract, because they backloaded the salary, you're starting to see the wheels start to come off with some of the players on the roster because they've lost Lyle Collins, they lost Amari Cooper. So you're starting to see the effects. Connor Williams was a free agent; they lost him as well. So I think Dallas is going offensive line. They have to in this draft.
My heart bleeds for him. I can't wait for them to be crappy.
Yeah,
I think the guy was just a troll. I think that whole thing was just a troll thing, and that's why I brought it up. I don't think he was being serious. The guy that says Rams, Rams fan, Niners are trash.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah,
but you want to see a bandwagon fan base disappear really quick? Watch the Cowboys win 5 games. Watch where that fan base goes. Yeah. Watch that disappear. That'll be like a magic trick. Austin, thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate it, my man. Who do you think the Lions are going to pick? It's scaring me that they sent all the troops to Thibs Pro Day.
Yeah, well, everybody did, though. I mean, I know the Lions sent 7 guys. The Giants sent 5. Like, the most people were at Thibs Pro Day, and they might take Thibs. In my last mock draft, I had them taking Thibs. Like I said, I'm not listening to all these people that are saying Thibs is falling down. I still think he's going that high, but they could go Walker. People seem to think he's really moving up mocks. They could go Malik Willis. It's possible. And I'm praying they do. But if I had to guess, I think it will be Thibs. I think Thibodeau's going to go. Thibodeau, I think, is not getting past the Jets. But if I had to guess, I think he's going to go 2 to the Lions.
Yeah. Well, we shall see what we
shall. I hope not, but I think he will.
What if Jacksonville takes Evan Neal? Do you think that they go Aiden Hutchinson? Because he is
if they take tackle, I think Aiden Hutchinson goes 2. And then it's interesting there what Houston would do. They probably go tackle. They could go Thibodeau. Either way, I don't see Thibodeau getting past the Jets.
Well, he should. They're the Jets.
I hope he does.
They're not supposed to make the right move. They're the Jets. And again, we don't. I mean, neither one of us make the right moves, do we? I mean, both of us have won 22 games in the last 5 years. The worst teams in football since 2017. Both of them. It's terrible. NY Giants 26. Thank you, brother. I really appreciate it, my man. He says the only giant relative thing to Joe Smudge is the size of his Fruit of the Loom tighty whities on his pair sheet. God, I tore Joe Judge into one. Every which way I could tear I called him a pear-shaped loser. It was night and day, Chris. Last year, in 2020, I loved the guy. Yep. And then it's like the first game of 2021, it's like a light switch, just bang. All of a sudden, I hated the guy. The challenge flag drove me insane. And I'm like, this team didn't improve at all. They got no better. I'm like, that's what ticked me off. They didn't get one bit better.
It's the nature of New York sports fans. Let's be real. Look at Julius Randle. Julius Randle last year was the king of New York. That's what people are saying. MVP. He's getting booed off the court now. People can't wait to get rid of the guy.
New York.
It's New York. It doesn't matter if it's the Giants. It doesn't matter if it's the Yankees. It doesn't matter what team
Jets,
it is.
The Mets. It does not matter.
If you don't produce and fans don't like what they're seeing, they're going to flip on you real fast. And that's exactly what happened.
And that's why when people are like, "Oh man, you a year ago you said you liked them," I said that's the pulse of sports, especially in New York. This is the way we are. We are very reactionary. We expect greatness from all of our teams. We're New York, man. It's a different. The big media markets, the fan bases in the big media markets, the LAs, the Chicagos, the Philadelphias, the Bostons, and New Yorks, they expect the best, and they're quick they will love you to death. When you produce, they will love you. We want to love the players, but if you don't do your job, they will let you know you're not doing your job.
We're loyal to a fault when we win. I'll go to bat for Eli Manning still, because he helped me win. He won 2 Super Bowls, but when you don't produce, and especially a guy like Randall, for example. He shows no effort. And I think that's the thing that ticks New York fans off more than anything.
Oh, God, yes.
Especially
the Yankees last year was the lack of hustling.
Robinson Hill, right? Yankee fans used to hate that, too, when he didn't bust it out of the box. I remember that was a big thing when he was there. So I think that has a lot to do with it, too. Our fans are educated, and we want to see our guys put max effort in.
Yeah. Rob from downtown, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. He says, you ever see Horrible Bosses? I have not.
I have.
I'm not a comedy guy, but he says Kelvin Benjamin getting cut reminded me of the Colin Farrell scene. Fire all fatties.
That is a great he is a great that movie is fantastic. They actually made 2 of those. But yeah, Colin Farrell was he was the son of a boss. So basically what the movie's about is there's 3 main characters. They all hate their bosses and they want to kill them. They want to assassinate their bosses. Colin Farrell is, I think he's Jason Sudeikis' boss, and he can't stand the guy because of things like this. And he comes in, and the first day that he takes over, because his dad died, Jason Sudeikis loved his father. He was the boss prior to Colin Farrell. The first thing he does, as soon as he comes into the office, he says, "There's Large Marge. I want you to fire all the fatties." I was dying of laughter. That's a fantastic movie. But
I can't relate because I'll be honest, my boss is kick-ass. My boss is kick-ass.
There you go.
He is the man. Perfect example. I'll be like this. I'll be like, can you? I need you to sign these timesheets so I can turn them into the payroll department. And he'll say, your mom needs me to sign the timesheets. That's my boss. That's awesome.
Everybody.
That's what I am. Pencil Man, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. He's hilarious. My boss. He says, hey guys, don't the G-Man. This is why I don't miss any days at work. If you have a good boss, you actually don't mind going into work. I just hate waking up in the morning. So there's my kid. He's got that too. He's a night owl like me. Hey guys, don't the G-Men have their first mini camp tomorrow? And Giant fans are real lucky to have the both of you for Giant content on YouTube. Well, thank you, Pencil Man.
Appreciate that, Pencil Man. Yeah, I think it's the first day of official minicamp is tomorrow. The Giants, along with like 4 other teams, the way they did it is the teams with the new head coaches get to start their minicamp first. So I think all the teams with the new head coaches are starting either the 4th or the 11th. So that's why the Giants start so early this year.
And I will say this to the last part of your statement there, Pencil Man, is we are lucky to have such great Giant supporters and subscribers on these channels because, again, this team's been terrible for 5 years. It's horrible. Yeah. And, the channels grow every year. We get more and more Giants fans, and we love our team. I mean, that's awesome. That's why I know that Giants bandwagon there is no bandwagon. We are some of the most listen, I've been on YouTube a long time, going way back to when it pretty much started in 2007. Okay. And now I didn't make videos for a few years. And then I came back in 2014, but I've dealt with all these fan bases, and I know there's no more loyal fan base than the Giants. All these Eagle fans came in here after they won the Super Bowl. I can tell you right now, there were no Eagle fans around here before that. None. Yep. I chased them all the way with my trash dog. Oh God, I used to destroy those people. But there wasn't any. And the same thing with the Cowboys. Every year they were 8-8. Nothing. Then they go 13th, and there they are. I'm telling you. And Washington really don't have any. They never did. So the Giants fan base is the most loyal by far. By far. This is a guy, like I said, I've been on YouTube for whatever the hell it is, 15 years in this sporting community. So I know, I have seen this happen. That's why I said, watch what happens in Dallas. Watch them in a couple of years be where we are, and watch them be at the bottom, and watch how few Cowboy fans are around.
Yeah.
They will go elsewhere. Stormtrooper, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you guys for entertaining us on a Sunday.
Thank you for being here, man. Thank you for entertaining us. Appreciate you for being here, bro.
That's correct.
I keep seeing Royal Money say draft Jordan Davis with the 36th pick. I would die if he was there at 36.
Yeah.
He's not going.
Would you say he's at 26?
Yeah, I would entertain. I don't think he's getting past the Chargers at the latest. The Chargers pick at 17. They need interior defensive line help, and the combine that he had, like maybe it was possible he could have went late first, early second before the combine, but he blew it away at the combine. I don't see him getting past the Chargers at 17.
His 40 was stupid.
Yeah.
How did a guy that big run that fast? But we always take a Georgia Bulldog in the first round. Although I think our Georgia Bulldog is going to be James Cook this year, but we'll see. We'll see. We're not in the first round, but later in the draft. Adam, thank you so much for the $3 boom. And might I say, good on Mike. Thank you for watching in Australia over there.
What's going on, Adam? Thanks for popping in, buddy.
Dominic, thank you for the super chat, brother. Appreciate it. He says, I'm going to miss the toilet paper playbook for 2022. I'm going to tell you something, Dominic. I am not.
Yeah, I'm not either. I want an actual playbook.
I am not. I hope it doesn't go into a tissue box or something, but that was bad. All I know is when I watched that clip of us back with I laughed my ass off. When I put that video together of my ranting and all that stuff, and I put that clip on there and I watched that video, but I started cracking up, man. That was I'm just thinking to myself, God almighty, we are this bad. Like we just ran 2 quarterback sneaks from our own 2 and our own 4-yard line. That has to be the first time in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, and under the circumstances, it made it even worse because we had nothing to play for.
And we were down 3-0.
Yeah, it was like if it was a game where it was like playoffs, we could make the playoffs. I could somewhat understand it because you're like, all right, Jake Fromm's the quarterback. You don't want to turn the ball over 3rd and 9. But in a game like that, where we have nothing to play for, you have nothing to lose. If he throws a pick 6, who gives a damn? And he did
throw one later in the game.
He did.
So
it was pathetic.
Yeah, that was great. It was at that point. It was so bad. It's almost like it's almost like Joe Judge was saying, you think you've seen really bad. You think you've seen it bad. Watch how bad it can really get. You think you've seen everything or nothing from this offense. Wait till you see this.
Yeah,
play. That was funny. And all I see is that guy leaning over the railing. And I'm like, that guy's got to relate to me because that is totally something that I would do is lean over and go, you're a bitch, Joe. I mean, you were there. You heard me destroying Pat Shurmur left and right.
Yeah.
Joe Judge would have got it 10 times worse.
That was bad. That was horrible.
I was trying to get to that Philly game, Chris. I showed you where those tickets were. They were right next to the Giants sideline. That poor guy, I'd have got thrown out. They would have thrown me out. No doubt. LA Lou, thank you so much, brother. I really appreciate that, my good man. He says, your free agent signings have given you a good offensive line. I don't know if it's good, but they've given us some depth.
Better.
Yeah, better. But at least we got some pieces there.
Yeah.
With 5 and 7, I think the Giants should go edge and cornerback. You can still get alignment in the 2nd or 3rd. P.S. If the Lakers fire Vogel, I want Dawn Staley as the Lakers' next head coach. You mean when they fire Vogel?
Oh, yeah, he's getting fired.
He's gone. He's done.
Yeah, they're the most disappointing team in all sports this year.
Listen, I know people get confused because I stream Laker games. I understand that, and they don't understand that I'm a Knicks fan. But so I obviously followed the Lakers the last 4 years because I've streamed them. But before that, I didn't really pay much attention to them. I mean, in the 80s I did because they were in the finals every year. But I have to imagine, and Laker fans have said this in the chat, this is the worst Laker team ever. And they've had teams with worse records, but you look at LeBron James and Russell Westbrook, and I know Anthony Davis has missed 12 weeks this year, and that's a big loss, but still, with LeBron and Westbrook playing most of the games, you think they could be better than 31 and 47. It's been pretty bad. So there's a lot of Laker fans saying this is the worst Laker team ever. That's saying something.
I don't know if I have to look, but I don't know if it's the worst ever, but I think it's probably the most disappointing ever when you factor in all the talent and the success they've had in recent years. That's for I definitely think it's the most disappointing ever. His first point, I definitely think we've improved the interior part of the offensive line. One thing we haven't done at all, we have not added a tackle. We added Gano, who's Gono, or however it's pronounced, from the Falcons, who's a swing tackle. He's a backup. Pat Parrott is hurt. He's not even going to start the season. So as of now, we don't have a starting right tackle. We've improved in the interior. Feliciano's a stopgap center. He's not going to be a guy that's going to do any damage long term. He's a guy that's going to man the fort. Glowinski's a solid guard. He'll be a guy that's hopefully here for 2 or 3 years. So we improved the interior. It's still not complete. The right tackle, we don't have anyone. So I still think the Giants are taking a tackle there. I had 5 or 7, especially being that it makes sense. There's very good tackles at the top of this draft. So I think it's what they should do, and I think it's what they will do. I think they're going to take a tackle with one of those 2 picks.
Yeah, I agree. I tuned out a little bit there because Benjamin made a good point. He said, I forgot to put the subscribers mode only on today. And we have somebody that is absolutely in love with you in the chat.
Oh, I get that guy in all my streams.
Yeah, he. I
just don't react. I always tell people in the chat, don't even react to the guy. That's what he wants.
They don't. They don't. Benjamin just said put the subscribers on. So I didn't think about that beforehand, and I usually do it, but because I normally go through OBS and it shows up on OBS. Like when I'm setting it up, it's right there. When I do StreamYard, a lot of times I do not think about it because it's not an option on StreamYard. I have to go through YouTube Studio. But Benjamin, thank you for mentioning that, man. I appreciate that very much. And hold down the chat for a little bit because you know me, I drink like 6 gallons of water a day. So I'll be right back. You know, I gotta hit the washroom. I'll be right back.
I'll talk to the chat. I see Roldy popped in. What's going on, Roldy? I'm in 32 seconds. Roldy will say something that he'll say that he disagrees with me. I'm still waiting for it. What's up there? Gemini says, as for my Giants, love the move so far. Yeah, I mean, I like what we've done so far, which is nothing, basically. We made a couple of small moves, but it's what I wanted them to do. I didn't want them to overcommit in free agency because we didn't have much cap to spend. I want them to keep the future cap clear and start rebuilding, get some of these older players off the roster. So they've done what I wanted. Cost-effective moves, a couple of, stopgap players. It's exactly what I expected them to do this free agency. It's what they did. So good job so far. What's up, Fabian? What's going on there? Noah Man X popping in. What's going on there? Tony Forsett. Clutch Ball in the chat, man. What's up? Noah Man X popping in. Milkman. Love that name. What's up, man? Denzel Washington's burner says the defensive end from Oregon is going to be good. Hope you don't get him. We're not going to. I mean, I hope we get him. That's my dream. I would love for him to fall to 5 or 7 if we take, say, a tackle at 5, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's going top 4. Milkman says, hey, Tainah, how you feel about DeGrom and Max both hurt? You're pissing me off, Milkman. You're pissing me off. DeGrom
hurt, are they?
DeGrom can't throw for a month.
Oh my God! Already it's certain.
Yeah, he can't throw for a month, which means he probably is not going to be ready till the All-Star break at best.
That sucks, man.
Yeah, Scherzer, minor injury, may not start opening day, but it doesn't seem like it's going to linger any further than that. So he may miss a start. I'm not too worried about Scherzer. DeGrom, if we get anything out of him, I am not banking on him at all for the rest of this year. So luckily the Mets signed Scherzer. He's supposed to be the ace. And I think they could get by with the staff they currently have after the addition of Bassett. But they're probably still going to have to add a starter at the deadline.
I mean, listen, Cohen can go out and buy whatever the hell he wants. I'm happy with the Mets. Good, do it. Somebody in New York needs to spend money. And it's not even like we don't. It's not even like the Yankees don't spend money. We spend money like horribly.
The Stanton taking on that contract and you got
good, but I'm talking about like Aaron Hicks. What a dumbass contract. 7 years for a bum.
Yeah,
they did it with Ellsbury. They do it. They pay DJ LeMahieu all this money, and now he's a utility player.
Yeah,
you giving DJ LeMahieu $90 million to be a utility player. This is the crap we do because Glaber's got to play second. That's why I went on Derek's channel today because we were talking about Brian Cashman, and that's
I don't know. Cashman must have slept with Steinbrenner's wife. I don't understand how he still has a job, and I'm not saying that Cashman hasn't had success before, but you're talking about an organization that is supposed to have the highest expectations in all sports. You expect to win a championship every single year. The Yankees have won one since what?
2009.
2000.
Well, 2000.
Since 2000, they've won one, right?
One. Yeah.
So I don't know how he still had a job. He's had a job since I've watched baseball. It's pretty incredible that he's been able to keep his job this long.
Especially since we don't have any prospects. And that was why Derek was, asked me to do the show because he's like, I saw your video. It was the great point you made. Well, he wanted anyway because I wanted to be on his channel last year and I just totally spaced about that. But, talking about how Cashman, the Yankees don't have any prospects in the last 10 years that have contributed for more than 2 years. Not one. Outside of Aaron Judge, nobody. That's on him. That's on the scouting department. How the hell can we not develop any talent from the minors at all? They haven't developed anything. And then they want to hold on to guys like Gleyber Torres and Clint Frazier. For what? We could have had Justin Verlander, but we're gonna hold on that he's got. That's what I mean. He's losing it. He's losing it. Things have changed. He hasn't. And that's a problem. Well, I don't know. The Yankees, honestly, offensively, I think they could be decent. The pitching worries me after Garrett Cole. I don't know what we have. I don't know what Severino's going to be. I don't know what Tyone's going to be. I don't know what Luis Gil's going to be. I don't know what Nestor Cortez is going to be. I don't know how deep these guys are going to go into games, which can tax your bullpen, but it's a long season, and I'm definitely looking forward to it because I love baseball. So, one Yankee game a week is what I'm going to try to do. It's tough because they play at 7. So, Leontre, thank you, brother. He says, take Bailey Zappy at 182 if he's there. High upside. You're getting deep now.
That's the Western Kentucky quarterback. I don't know. I know he put up incredible stats. I think he threw for like 54 touchdowns this year or something ridiculous. I watched him at the Senior Bowl. I was not impressed. And I know it's just the Senior Bowl. Didn't look that good to me. So maybe they take quarterback that late. I'm not going to bank on a guy like that being our starter long term.
Larry, you're right. We have good talent, but we trade. Yeah, we have talent. We trade him, and then we pick up big contracts. But even so, I think the Yankees overrate the prospects huge. We'll see what Volpe and Peratz end up being. Clark Schmidt, Davey Garcia. We'll see what all the Jason Dominguez. Obviously, he's just a kid, but we'll see what these guys end up being. They're supposed to be great. Anthony Volpe crushed it, but he was high A last year. Can we get the guy into double A before we say how good he's going to be? You know, these kids are 20. You can give them a year or two for like, oh, he's going to be Jeter. We heard this with Jesus Montero, Yankee fans. Remember Jesus Montero? Oh, next level. Oh, Jesus Montero.
Remember Jabba?
Tower power.
Jabba Chamberlain, you guys were saying he was going to be the next Pedro Martinez. You screwed him up, though, man. The Yankees screwed him up. They
totally should have been in the bullpen.
Yeah, screwed him up.
Kept him there. The Jabba rules.
Yeah.
The Jabba rules.
The Jabba rule.
One of the most impulsive buys in my life was buying a Jabba Chamberlain jersey when I was down in the city.
Because there was none up here. He was a fun guy to root for when he first came.
He was, but I mean, I was down in the city for a game and I saw it in one of the sporting goods stores. I'm like, oh my God, I got to have a Jabba. There ain't no Jabbas up here. I'm getting Jabba Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I have that anymore. I don't even know where the hell that went. Clock, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Let's see DJ now finally with an O-line. I mean, listen, this is the last gasp. I don't think he's coming back regardless, unless we win the division and he has a massive season. I can't see them bringing him back unless he does a complete 180, all of a sudden figures out how to climb the pocket, how to get pocket awareness. His throws get better. He's much better in the red zone, and we win 10 or 11 games. I can't see us giving him a long-term contract and, devoting another 4 or 5 years to him if he's average or just above average and we're a 6-win team. I think it'd be difficult to do that. But
yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I honestly don't think DJ is going to get a long-term extension no matter what happens this year. Outside of us, blowing my mind, going to him taking like a leap like Joe Burrow did last year, which I don't expect. I could see a franchise tag if he significantly improves and we're not in a position to draft a quarterback. But I think the Giants are going to make him prove it another year, even if he has an improved year this year. But hey, I'm excited to see an improved offensive line this year, and hopefully Daniel Jones could progress as a quarterback. That'd be something great to see as a Giant fan. I don't want him to fail. I don't want to have to draft a quarterback because I'm going to tell you what, if we have to draft a quarterback, which I think we're going to, in 2023, we're waiting until 2024 to be relevant because you're not going to win football games with a rookie quarterback. So best case scenario this year is Daniel Jones takes the step and we could go into 2023 expecting to grow up for this season. So I hope and pray Daniel Jones evolves as a quarterback this year with the hopefully improved offensive line and obviously what we expect to be a much improved offensive play caller.
Yeah, I completely agree. And again, because Daniel Jones is going to get quarterback money. Daniel Jones ain't going to get a 2-year, $12 million deal. Daniel Jones is going to get 25, 28 million. That's the very low end.
Oh, yeah.
Of a quarterback. I don't want to pay him that. He hasn't earned that.
No.
Because you got to be careful off of one good year. We did this with Leonard Williams.
Yep.
And Tim says it, and it's kind of true. You can't, if a guy is bad, like what he is for 4 years, and all of a sudden he has a great year. Julius Randle. And for years, he was this, and then bang, in the huge year, Knicks paid him, and now look at him. I mean, same thing with Leonard Williams. And I think losing Dalvin Tomlinson hurt Leonard Williams. So
I think if Jones breaks out outside of, if he has like a Josh Allen year, you're extending him. That I think they will more than likely extend him. If he puts up those kind of numbers.
Maybe they tag him.
Which he's not going to do. If he has like a 28 to 30 touchdown year, I could see a franchise tag because it's only a 1-year commitment. And it gives you that, and it depends on where we're drafting. Also, it depends on where we're picking in the draft. It depends on how we feel about the quarterbacks in the draft. But if we don't feel we're in a position to get a high end quarterback and he takes significant leaps this year, I could see a 1-year franchise tag and saying, all right, Daniel, let's see if you could grow up this year and get yourself to that upper echelon quarterback. And then we'll talk about you potentially being here long term.
I think that's the only way he's back here in 2023 is on a franchise tag.
Yeah. And it would require the Giants more than likely to win at least 8 or 9 games, to not be picking in the top 12 or 13, and for him to improve a lot this year as a quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say, and hopefully, you know what? Hopefully that's what they have to do, because hopefully he does come out and he's way better and he's figured it out behind a better offensive line and better coaching and better play calling and guys with a higher IQ that work around his strengths. And he does, and he's healthy.
Yeah.
You know, more importantly than anything, he's got to stay healthy. And hopefully, you know, that's what he is. Hopefully he does come out and he throws 29 touchdowns and 12 or 13 interceptions, and the Giants do win 8 games. Yeah. And he's much better. And they go, you know what? Let's give him another year and see if he can improve upon that. And like you said, become a top 10 quarterback.
And then you continue to build the roster. And if he does not take that huge leap, now you have a really good roster for the next rookie quarterback coming.
Exactly. So that's probably best case scenario.
Yeah.
For us is that they franchise tag him, because that would mean that he's earned another year here, as opposed to doing what he's done the last 2 years, which means he's going to get the hell out of Dodge real quick. And I'm not talking about Matt Dodge, because he couldn't go to Dodge fast enough after he kicked that ball to Deshaun Jackson. LA Lou, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says the 2005 Lakers under Tom Janovich, who quit at midseason, were worse. I mean, I don't know. I've seen the Lakers quit at halftime quite a bit. Maybe
I remember Kobe. A lot of people blame Kobe for Tom Janovich losing his job, right? Didn't that happen, if I remember correctly?
Probably. The great ones do that, right? Yeah. Everybody blames LeBron for everything that goes bad. So
yeah,
no one blamed Jordan, because Jordan everything went great. Although people said Jordan might have got Doug Collins fired.
Yeah.
Who knows? But he says the 2005 Lakers have the 22 beat for the worst the year after trading Shaq. Yeah. Well, again, I didn't watch the Lakers, and there was no NBA League Pass in 2005, so I didn't see the Lakers play. But yeah, all I know is this Lakers team is pretty damn bad. Art Vandelay, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. One of the best names on here, because I'm a massive Seinfeld fan. I'm afraid we'll take Sauce at 5. There's been a lot of press about how much the Giants like him. I do too, but he should be taken at 7, tackle at 5. Do you think it's possible that Carolina would take Sauce if the Giants passed on him at 5?
I really don't. And that's why I don't think we're going to take him at 5. The only reason I could see the Giants taking Sauce at 5 is if they felt like a team could trade up to 6 with the Panthers and take him, because last year the Panthers spent their first round pick on a corner. So I don't see them doubling up this year, taking another first round corner when they have as many needs on that offense as they do. I mean, their offensive line is putrid, and they certainly could take a quarterback as well. So it's why I don't really think the Giants will take a corner at 5. I'd be pretty surprised if the Giants took Sauce at 5. I think they'll take him at 7 if it makes sense, and I think there's a good chance it will, especially if we trade Bradberry. But I don't think we're going to take a corner at 5.
I agree. Orphanage Grom, thank you. Remember, for 11 months, he said, I'm convinced God is trying to nerf me since I'm OP. I don't know if that means overpaid, or I don't know what OP stands for.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. Orphanage Grom, thank you for the super chat. He says, can you not see member chats? Oh, I just saw it. But a lot of times I don't. I look back in there once in a while, Orphanage, because I keep the StreamYard chat up. And then, I put the YouTube one, but if I can't have them both up, because if I click on a StreamYard, the YouTube one goes away. So the member chats don't show up in StreamYard, only on the YouTube chat. So that's why I might have missed that.
OP means overpowered, according to our overpowered.
Gotcha. Yeah. He says, and DK or AJ Brown to the Jets. Well, we talked about earlier that it makes sense for DK Metcalf to go to the Jets.
I think it's a mistake for the Jets, personally. In my honest opinion, I think you should just draft a receiver with that pick. Kind of like what we were saying with the Eagles. I understand it because the Jets need a number 1. You have you have Zach Wilson going into year 2. You want that proven commodity. But if I was a Jet fan, I think I would sooner rather just draft the first wide receiver off the board at 10. Unless they don't believe in him. If they don't feel that there's a guy that could be a high-end wide receiver, which there probably is one, I would rather keep that draft pick personally. But I do think the Jets are going to look to acquire a high-end wide receiver, because they've already they tried to get Tyreek Hill So it makes sense, and it opens up your options in the draft, but you'd more than likely have to trade away your 10th overall pick, so you'd only have the 4th pick.
Right. But DK Metcalf's probably going to be better than a receiver at 10. You want to get a receiver for Zach Wilson. There's no doubt. And Zach Wilson's mom. So, you want to. Junkin, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I really appreciate it. He says, hey, Chris, our Baddog Chris, why didn't you take Wentz consideration? You have Daniel Jones. We couldn't afford Wentz. If you're talking about, like, why did we trade for
we have no money. Yeah, we have no money.
We wouldn't have money to afford him.
Wentz still has a pretty, lucrative contract. So we don't have the money to bring in a guy like that. And to me, Wentz doesn't really fit our team. I mean, Wentz is 31, 32 years old, or however old he is. I think he's over 30 at this point, or he's approaching it.
Yeah.
He's been often injured. And to me, at this point, Carson Wentz is not a high-end quarterback. I think he's about an average starting quarterback in the league. In that 15 to 20 range. If I had to guess, he's definitely an upgrade for Washington. But for me, if I'm trading for a quarterback, I probably want a guy with a higher ceiling. I don't want to give away tons of draft capital for a guy that's going to be a middle-of-the-road quarterback. That's just my opinion on the matter. So, yeah, I'm glad we didn't trade for him.
Yeah, and Duncan, the thing is, like Chris mentioned, he's a middle-of-the-road quarterback at this juncture in his career. And, we're in rebuild mode. Washington's trying to win now. Washington's pretty good outside of the quarterback situation. They know they needed a quarterback. Heineke was not going to get it done there. He tried. He was a gutsy kid, but he's not going to win you a lot of games. He's not going to win you playoff games. They're not good enough with him there. But defensively, they're pretty good. They got a couple. I love Antonio Gibson. He's a great running back. They get Terry McLaurin. He's one of the best receivers in the league. So you get a guy there with some experience. He's obviously played in the NFC East. He knows the teams here. And, they're trying to win now, whereas us, first of all, we don't have the money. But again, Carson Wentz for this team doesn't really make a lot of sense because we're not a quarterback away from competing. It's really not. We need a lot of pieces, which is why all offseason I've been saying they should just stick with Daniel Jones and not draft a quarterback because to me, this is a throwaway season. I hope I'm pleasantly surprised. We end up having a good year, but to me, this is a year to really rebuild. This is what you do. Again, Joe Shane ain't going to come out and go, well, probably going to win 4 or 5 games. We're just trying to rebuild. You don't want to hear that. He's not going to come out and say that, but, he's going to say, we're going to come out, we're going to compete, we're going to do this and that. But at the end of the day, I'd much rather go through another crap season because I'm expecting it 5-12, get your cap space freed up, get your quarterback next year, start fresh with a guy that is young, and like Chris said, not 28 or 29, whatever Wentz says, he is up there. He's been in the league for 7 years, so he's probably is about 20,
30,
right around 30. So yeah, I don't want a guy in a second contract coming in here. So
we know what Wentz is at this point. We know what Wentz is at this point. You win Super Bowls in the NFL for the most part when you could get a guy from the start on a rookie salary, unless you have an established team like the Rams did, and you have all the pieces in place, and then you go out and you get your mercenary or what the Bucs did with Tom Brady. But our team's nowhere near a team like that, and Carson Wentz is nowhere near the caliber of quarterback of either one of those two. So wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. Is he an upgrade? Probably over Daniel Jones. But to me, what Washington did with Wentz is basically, in my opinion, what we're doing with Jones. They just didn't have a Daniel Jones. They didn't have a stopgap quarterback. Right. I think they're viewing this draft similar to the way that we view this draft for the Giants. When Washington made that trade, they say we're picking at 11. We're not in love with Malik Willis. We're not in love with spending a first-round pick on a quarterback in this draft. Let's go out and give up a third-round pick to bring in Carson Wentz. He'll man the fort for a year or two. It'll buy us some more time before we actually want to trade up or spend a first-round pick on a quarterback. That's what it was. They didn't have Taylor Heineke is not a guy that that you could potentially groom and build off of something with. They said, let's get a stopgap guy and let's see what we could do here. If things don't work out, we could draft a quarterback the following year in a much stronger quarterback draft class. That's what I think they did, personally.
Yeah, and it makes sense. And like I said, it was a stream I did a couple of weeks ago. And Pencil Man made the great point that the fact that both Washington and Denver traded for quarterbacks tells you what they think of the quarterback class. You had a team pick at 9th, you had a team pick at 11th. There really wasn't a lot of teams in front of them that were probably going to go quarterback. Maybe Carolina, but you look at those other, maybe Atlanta, but you probably not. And they're like, you know what? We don't even want to take a chance with any of these guys and use a first-round pick. Let's go out and get a quarterback. We'll trade. In Denver's case, he's like, with the hell with it. We're not going to get a better quarterback than Russell Wilson in this draft, so let's just take him. And like you said about Washington, It buys them a couple of years to get a
That's
quarterback.
exactly what it does. It's the same thing that New Orleans is doing with Winston on the 2-year deal. These teams, that's the way I look at it. These teams, if they were in love with these quarterbacks, Washington would trade up and get one. They don't look at this draft class as the year to do it. That's why they went out and got Wentz. That's why you're seeing a lot of these teams sign stopgap quarterbacks or trade for stopgap quarterbacks, like Mitch Trubisky with the Steelers, or so on and so forth in a lot of these scenarios. So unfortunately, I don't see a lot of teams making big moves for a quarterback in this draft, but it only takes one, so it's not impossible. It could certainly happen.
Tony says, "What does it mean when a quarterback's gun shy? It means he's afraid to throw the ball. It means he doesn't have conviction in his throws. That's the way I look at it. He's afraid to make a mistake, so he hesitates for a split second and just doesn't want to make the mistake. He's afraid. It's pretty much what it means. He doesn't have conviction, so he doesn't just go back, bang, let it go. He gets a little bit nervous, and he's just afraid. He's just afraid to let it go, which I wish he would get rid of that. No. Rolly says, Baddog, that's bullshit, bro. With the fact
what is that Washington wants to be a stopgap quarterback? Why else would they have done it, Roldy?
I think he means that the teams traded for quarterbacks because they didn't like the quarterback draft class. Well, I don't know. Why would they trade for him?
Why would they trade draft capital for veteran quarterbacks if they love this quarterback draft class? Why wouldn't they spend the draft capital to move up to get a quarterback?
Right. Or why wouldn't they just stay where they are and get a quarterback?
So, no, I don't think it's bullshit, Roldy.
I mean, Denver gave up a lot.
Roldy can keep talking himself into Malik Willis or Kenny Pickett, but I don't think teams love these quarterbacks. That's just my opinion on it.
Yeah. And now he says it's Evan, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Roldy, answer the question. Why would they why did they trade then? Why would they trade the first round pick? Why would Denver trade their first round pick for Russell Wilson if they like the quarterback in this draft? Why would they pay Russell Wilson all that money? Why wouldn't they just take the quarterback at the 9th overall pick?
Malik Willis was great. Why would they sign a guy that's like 33 years old that makes as much money as Wilson does and have to give up all the draft capital that they did if they thought Malik Willis was this all-world quarterback?
Yeah, I'm not even talking about Malik Willis. I'm just
he's
talking
the
about in general. I don't.
He's the QB1 by most people's standards in this draft. If people were absolutely in love with him, they wouldn't be going out and getting all these veterans. And that's just the way I look at it. But like I said,
because Washington's paying a lot of money for Carson Wentz too. They're not cheap guys.
Yeah,
That's
not to say there's not going to be a team or two. I mean, Jacksonville was in love with Blake Bortles. Most teams weren't.
We were in love with Daniel Jones. It doesn't mean that Detroit could take Malik Willis second. That could definitely happen.
Yeah, but I think the majority of teams, what you're seeing is they're setting themselves up to not have to force a quarterback in this draft.
Right. Hey, listen, I can't speak for the other 30 teams in the NFL, but we're talking about Washington and Denver. Pencilman said it shows you what they think of the draft class, not what every team in the NFL thinks about the draft class. It shows you what Washington and Denver thought about the draft class. It doesn't mean there's not Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh loves Malik Willis. It doesn't mean Pittsburgh can't trade up with the Giants to 7 to get him, or Atlanta can't trade up to 4 to get him. Or Atlanta could take him at 8. It's very possible. But we're just talking about those two particular teams. They weren't enamored with the quarterback class, or they wouldn't have traded picks.
They wouldn't have traded for Carson Wentz.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the point there. Davey, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. He says, take a tackle at 5, trade back 7 for 20, take Linderbaum at 20, trade up with extra picks, and take a guard with extra picks. O-line is fixed. I love it. I'm in. Dream scenario, Davey.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. But I wouldn't be upset if they did that. But when you look, I think they have to fill the defense as well. I think we have to realize as Giants fans that it's going to take a couple of years to fill out the offensive line to where it needs to be. I think this year you'll have improvements at the tackle, but you look at our defense right now, there's so many holes. I think they're going to have to spend some early picks on the defense as well. I mean, we lost our starting safety. We're probably going to lose our starting cornerback with Bradberry. We don't have a number 1 edge. We're going to need a linebacker in the near future. I don't think Martinez is going to be here long-term. So the Giants have so many needs on this defense. I think you address the tackle early in this draft, and then I think you start trying to fill in some of those needs on the defense.
Yeah. DJB says, how do the Bengals go from 4 wins to Super Bowl? Well, 2 big reasons. Healthy Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
That helped.
That was pretty big.
Yeah,
But nobody had them going to the Super Bowl.
They got hot. They got hot at the end of the season. It happens.
It does happen. We know it well.
Yeah.
Art Vandalay, thank you for the super chat. He says Roldy is a chaos personified. He's weaponized it. Art Vandalay. Pencilman, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. DJ had a decent rookie season. Where do you think the wheels fell off? Coaching scheme, O-line. I definitely think that was part of it. I honestly think the coaching staff had a lot to do with his regression, but he's never improved. I will say this until he fixes it. He's never improved that pocket awareness, the ability to climb the pocket, the ability to make the reads on a quick basis, to make good decisions with the football. His instincts are poor.
Yeah.
And I don't think it can be coached, but there's no doubt in my mind. He had some very good games of Sherman that kind of skewed his stats, and he had some not so good games when he was a rookie. So I'm like, I can forgive him. He's going to learn. And you expect him to improve year in and year out, but he didn't. He never improved. That was my biggest issue with him, is no improvement at all from Daniel Jones. Yeah, he had that game against New Orleans, and you're like, damn it, where the hell is this all year? And then it goes away. I definitely think Joe Judge had a lot to do with that, though. I'm not going to deny that. I think Joe Judge had a lot to do with his regression.
I mean, I think DJ's rookie year was a bit misleading statistically. I think a lot of us just looked at the touchdowns and we said, oh, my God, this guy's going to be great. 24 touchdowns by a rookie quarterback. But when you went back and looked at the numbers, it was really over like 4 games that he got like 18 of those touchdowns or something. He had 5 touchdowns against Washington. I think he had 2 other games where he threw 4 touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken. So he kind of compiled those stats in 3 or 4 games. And like Baddog said, there was definitely reason for optimism, which is all you want really from a rookie quarterback. You want to be able to take some hope. You want to see some promise. And we saw that with DJ. But he never took that next leap in the following season. And I think that's still the debate among some Giants fans. Why is that? Is it because Daniel Jones just doesn't have the ability to improve and get better? Or does it have something to do with the coaching staff and the offensive play calling and the offensive line and the injuries around him? Of course, Jones has sustained injuries the first 3 years as well. We're going to get that answer this year. I mean, and if we don't, he's gone. There's no more wait and see after this year if he is, in fact, the starting quarterback going into this year. He's now got a new offensive play caller. He's going to have what we think is going to be an improved offensive line. And it doesn't matter if it's not. If the line is not improved and the offensive scheme is not better, it don't matter. Time's up. Contract's over. We're drafting a quarterback the following year. There's no more wait and see, regardless of how the line performs, the surrounding cast performs. That's life in the NFL. Not everybody gets a fair opportunity. But yeah, do I think the coaching staff had something to do with it? Sure. I think Joe Judge was the definition of a conservative head coach. And obviously Jason Garrett's play calling wasn't the best. Our offensive line was a joke, but Daniel Jones has to take some fault as well. So I think it's a combination of a bunch of things.
Yeah. Roldy, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. He says, you ever thought Denver's a win now team and it made sense? Are they a win now team? That division's really tough. I mean, are they a win now team?
I think Denver, yeah, they're probably a win now team. Yeah. I think they have a pretty good all around roster, and they felt like they were a quarterback away from making that leap. If I had to guess. But like you said, the AFC West is loaded.
Yeah. And then he says, ever thought Washington's are also a win now team? Come on, man. That theory's BS.
I do not think Washington's a win now team.
I don't. Yeah.
I don't know what Roldy's definition of win. I don't know what Roldy's definition of win now is. My definition of win now is you feel like you can compete for a Super Bowl. I don't think Carson Wentz makes them a potential team that could compete for a Super Bowl. I do think Denver maybe has a slight chance. Washington, I do not think is a win now team. I view Wentz as a stopgap quarterback.
Do you think that? And again, I don't know much about Denver's roster, so I can't speak to this. Is their roster better than Seattle's?
They have again, I'm not a Denver fan. I don't watch them every week. At least going into last year, they were thought to have one of the best defenses in football. Now they lost Fangio, who was the head coach there. So we'll see what kind of, effect that has on the defense. They have a really strong secondary. They took Surtain last year in the first round. They had a strong secondary to begin with, and they got really good young weapons. You look around that team with Font, with Judy. They got a Sutton. They got a couple, they got some really good weapons over there. To my understanding, I think their offensive line's at least close to average. So I could see them feeling like they were a win now team. I think Denver, yeah, I could see them. I don't think they're competing for a Super Bowl, but I could see them convincing themselves that they could with the addition of Russell Wilson. I can't see Washington feeling that way.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when you're picking so early in the draft, to me, usually, and again, I don't follow Denver, so I don't know how many injuries they had and everything else. But usually, when you're picking that early, unless there's been injuries, and Denver's been a pretty good team before last year, you're not a quarterback away from winning a Super Bowl. But maybe they are.
My mistake, by the way. Font got traded to Seattle in the Wilson trade. Justin, thank you for correcting me.
So, I don't know. I mean, again, we don't know what the hell they're thinking. That could be a possibility. Yeah, I don't think Washington is a Super Bowl contender with Carson Wentz. They're better, but they weren't good last year. I mean, Washington may win. Washington hasn't been good in years. You know, they won the division with 7 wins, man. I mean, they're not good. They got into the playoffs by default. So them definitely not. I would think with a bunch of young players, you would want to get a young quarterback and just deal with Heineke for another year and then let it roll with guys like Antonio Gibson and Terry McLaurin and Chase Young. But maybe as Denver is close. I know a lot more about Washington than I do Denver. I'll be honest. I'm completely ignorant about Denver. I do not get Denver games. I do not watch the AFC West. They're not broadcast here. So I don't know much about Denver. And I am not a huge fantasy football guy either. So it's not like I'm following every team for moves and everything else. So I don't know. Maybe they are a win-now team. But Washington, I'd agree. I don't think
they're not a win-now team. They're a stopgap. It's a stopgap move. It's similar to I equate that to kind of what Bridgewater with Denver last year. I think it's similar there. I think Denver viewed Bridgewater as a guy that mans the fort for a year before they go out and really try to get a guy that can make them try and contend for a Super Bowl. I think it's similar to that.
Yeah. Now he says you said Jones is going to have a big year. You also said going into this year was a make or break for Jones. Now it's another excuse. I don't know what the excuse.
It's not an excuse. Listen, if they move on from Jones, I'm not going to bat an eye. I just am not of the belief of forcing a quarterback pick just to take one.
Right.
Because that would be in my, unless you, and again, if the Giants take a quarterback, I'm going to have full faith that they think he could be a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Because if they don't feel that way, they shouldn't be taking the guy. But if they don't feel that way, you're just forcing another quarterback pick, like they did with Jones, at least in my opinion, when they did it in 2019. So I would rather Jones for another year than commit to another quarterback who doesn't have top 5 potential and then have to hold on to that guy for 3 or 4 more years before I could take my next quarterback. The Giants essentially would be drafting a quarterback in the top 5. Jones was 6th for the second time in what was thought to be an incredibly poor quarterback draft class. And they'd be reaching on another quarterback. And again, you could point to several instances where it worked out, and maybe it would. That's the line of reasoning. People always say, "Well, look, nobody thought this guy was going to be great." Nobody, but for every name the quarterback, Pat Mahomes, that you could point to, I could point to 6 guys where it didn't work out.
Right, like all the Jets quarterbacks.
Yeah,
So I mean, how many top 5 picks did the Jets have with quarterbacks that didn't work?
Yeah, so
we don't know what Zach Wilson's going to be, but we know Sanchez and Darnold were complete failures. And Zach Wilson, I mean, is a rookie, so I'm going to give him a pass. But he was hurt. He didn't have a great rookie season. So I'm not saying he's going to be a bust. I don't know what he's going to be. I actually like Zach Wilson.
I like him
but
too.
The Jets have drafted 3 quarterbacks in the top 5 here in the last, 10 years? 12 years? So
I mean, I actually
also fail, which is why the Jets have been terrible because if you keep missing on the quarterback, you're screwed.
I actually was thinking about doing a video on this, so I wrote it down. These are the first-round quarterbacks these teams have selected since the Super Bowl era. And I only did like 6 or 7 teams. The Jets, Richard Todd, Mark Sanchez, Sam Darnold, Zach Wilson. The Jaguars, Byron Leftwich, Blaine Gabbert, Blake Bortles, Trevor Lawrence. The Browns, Tim Couch, Brady Quinn, Brandon Whedon, Johnny Manziel, Baker Mayfield. The Raiders, Todd Maranovich, Jamarcus Russell, Mark Wilson. The Lions, Greg Landry, Chuck Long, Andre Ware, Joey Harrington, Matt Stafford, who never won a playoff game there. The Bears, Jim McMahon, Jim Harbaugh, Cade McCown, Rex Grossman, Mitch Trubisky, Justin Fields. And that's just six or 7 teams. Those teams have never found a high-end quarterback. And my honest answer to that, Baddog, is I don't think every one of those quarterbacks was a bad quarterback. I think those teams don't know how to build a proper football team to get the most out of those quarterbacks.
Yeah, and that's the big concern for me with the Giants taking a quarterback this year is the fact that there's nothing. Like I said, I went to the Malik Willis Ole Miss game and I read the comments and, oh, Malik Willis has no talent. He's got no talent. There's no talent around him. So of course it's going to fail. There's no talent around him. What the hell talent is here? Or are we going to all of a sudden say Kenny Galladay is great? Kadarius Toney's going to be that. We don't know what the hell Kadarius Toney is. Kenny Galladay can't ever stay healthy. We don't have any tight ends, and we don't have any line right now. We don't know what the hell Saquon Barkley's going to be because Barkley's always injured. And Barkley, injured or not, hasn't been good in the last 2 years. Let's just call it what it is. He's had one 100-yard game in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And that was a game that we had minus 10 yards passing in. So it's tough for me to say, yes, let's commit a top 7 pick to a quarterback with nothing around him. Now, granted, he could sit for a year behind Tyrod Taylor and maybe you build a line. But like Chris said, unless you're 100% sold, and I don't care if it's Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, Matt Corral, I don't care who it is. If you are absolutely sold on the guy, you take him.
Always.
But if you're not, if you have any questions, you do not.
Especially when you're a team like the Giants right now.
Right. That's my point. The Giants are so bad.
Yeah.
Last year was not like an aberration where
it's not like the Patriots. It's not like the Patriots when they took Mac Jones.
Right.
The Patriots had
established.
It's a different situation.
Right. We've had 5 years of it's been terrible. So that's my biggest issue with the quarterback because I just don't think we're ready for that yet. I would like to build around what we, build it up so that whoever is our future quarterback has an opportunity to succeed.
And don't get me wrong, Baddog. If they take a quarterback, I'm not going to flip out. I'm going to hope they're right. We just have our opinion.
Right.
And if they go another route, I'm going to hope they're right. But I honestly do not think they're going to take a quarterback.
Yeah. And with Daniel Jones, I was hoping. And he never improved. He never got better. But people, and then the same people that are saying take a quarterback are like, well, there's a lot of them saying, well, actually, the Daniel Jones would be like, well, they don't have any, there's no weapons. He has no line, so that's why he failed. So again, if people think that's why he failed, then why would you bring in a quarterback into the same situation? It's just, to me, we're not ready for that. I don't want to take a quarterback and have the guy have nothing around him and run for his life like David Carr did. And, when the Texans were in Houston,
like Jones,
he got sacked 1,000 times.
Like Jones has done his first 3 years.
Right.
Like, you want to set it up better for the next guy.
Yeah. Because you want your quarterback to succeed. Even though Malik Willis can run around, and that's great, you don't want him running for his life every time he drops back to pass either. Yeah. So you got to find a way to run the ball. That's the best way to get your quarterback up, keep your quarterback upright, running the ball. We can't do that either because we have no offensive line. So I just want to build in the trenches. I just feel like you have to build from the inside out. I feel like this is a free year. Chris, you made a good point before about if you're Joe Shane and company and you take that quarterback, you're on the clock immediately. You took a year away from you have a buffer. This year is a buffer. It's a buffer zone.
You're taking a quarterback. You're taking a project quarterback year one and putting your job on the line when you don't have a team to support him. Yeah. And if that quarterback fails by the 3rd year, you're out of a job.
Right. I will say this. I watched a Senior Bowl. I was impressed with Malik Willis.
He's good.
I was impressed. Yeah. I was impressed. I still don't think he's right for the Giants.
Yeah.
But if they are going to take a quarterback, that's the one that I would want.
I agree. If they were going to take one, he'd be the one I prefer in this draft.
Tutto, grazie. Thank you so much, boys. I say salute, Kevin, Chris, to drop by office to pay our proper respects. And for all the Giants fans around the world, slap the stinky boys losers out of the dough.
What's going on, Tuto, man? Glad to see you, Tuto.
Tuto the man's a beast.
Tuto's the man.
He needs to be like the linebackers coach of the Giants. He always says he can't play in the NFL because he'd kill somebody. So I get that. But linebacker coach, put a little fear in our linebackers.
I'm with that.
I think that's what should happen. And he's Italian, so you're Italian. I'm Italian. We know that. Sometimes things happen.
God, Roldy doesn't get what I'm saying, but I'll explain it after the super chat. Go ahead.
Roldy, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Says Chris, don't compare 19 forcing a quarterback to now. The reason Dave Gettleman took Jones was because he messed up the year, become on rebuilding the team instead of taking a
franchise
quarterback. So Jones was focused for wrong reasons. Come on, man.
Okay. I'm assuming it means we should have taken a quarterback in 18.
Wouldn't have worked out either.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, the two guys they were considering there were Darnold and Rosen. We could say what we want. Like, they could have taken Lamar Jackson. They weren't taking him. And I don't think they were taking Josh Allen. So probably wouldn't have worked out. But and then Roldy said, what did he say? He said, Chris, I don't think he gets my point. He says, Chris, the moment he signed the contract, his job was already in line. What are you talking about? That's, of course, his job is. But my point is, GMs are judged based off the quarterback they draft. Period. That's the most important piece. For instance, if Daniel Jones turned out to be Eli Manning and won us 2 Super Bowls in 7 or 8 years, people would look back at him and say, all right, well, at least he got us that quarterback, which is the most important part of a football team. That is what you're judged off of. Period. End of story. If he drafts Malik Willis, that is going to be the quarterback he's judged off of. That is, once you draft that quarterback, I'm not talking about drafting a quarterback at 20th overall. If you take a quarterback inside the top 5, that is, how that quarterback performs is gonna dictate whether or not you keep your job.
Yeah,
that's all I mean by that point. And if he doesn't draft a quarterback this year, he could build up the roster to give the quarterback that he inevitably probably will draft in the following draft a better opportunity to succeed.
Right. I guess my point is this. I don't know if Roldy just absolutely loves Malik Willis and wants him to be a Giant, or anybody that wants the Giants to draft a quarterback this year. I guess my point is, if we drafted Malik Willis, are we winning this year? Are we better?
No.
Do we get better? Does Malik Willis start, or would he sit behind Tyrod Taylor? So what's the point of waiting one more year and getting another quarterback? I mean, unless you think that Malik Willis or any of these quarterbacks that the Giants could take in this draft are better than the quarterbacks coming out of next year's class. Because remember, everybody's like, man, if we would have just waited one more year, he could have had Justin Herbert.
Yeah.
So do we really want to relive that, where it's like, oh my God, we could have had Jones from Alabama? You know, I mean, or Bryce Young, Rich Jones. Bryce Young. We could have had Bryce Young. I mean, what you know, I don't know.
It is what it is.
That's why
he's never going to agree with me. So.
That's why we're not the GM.
But
again, we just have an opinion. That's so,
or you never. I should say us, because we agree on this topic. So
yeah, we just have an opinion.
Yeah,
we agree on a lot of things. It's just
yeah.
Dutch man, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate it. Blaming Jones for this roster is like blaming workers for producing bad materials and architects making crappy blueprints. Jones is still average. I agree. It's his instincts. But the bad roster didn't help him. We didn't do him any favors. We got to We didn't do him any favors.
I think both could be true. I think Jones could be average, and I think that you could also acknowledge that the team failed Jones. Yeah. I think both can be true.
That's why we're so bad.
Yeah.
Because they failed each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've said before, listen, man, you watch these quarterbacks and how fast they make those decisions and how fast they get rid of the ball and how decisive they are where the ball is going. They're not going to get sacked. When you're indecisive and you have no awareness, that's when you're going to get hit. And that's Daniel Jones. Does our offensive line good? No. But a good quarterback can make an average or a bad offensive line look better by getting rid of the ball quickly or getting out of the pocket when they feel the rush, be able to step up, climb it, and at least get rid of the ball. Daniel Jones has never figured out how to do that. So, again, well, he's got one more year. I would imagine. I'm thinking. I don't think the Giants are taking a quarterback.
Yeah,
we're gonna see what he does this year.
Yeah,
why not? Rolly, thank you, brother. Appreciate you, my man. He says, fellas, would you agree that I've been right every time I told y'all, and you guys disagree with me from the jump? Whether Dave Gettleman is bad for this organization, Williams was wrong for an extension, etc.
Listen, if Malik Willis. And again, it's all based on circumstance. I have to know what situation Malik Willis goes into. So if he goes into an incredible situation, I could still probably say, well, he may not have been great with the Giants. But listen, everybody's entitled to their opinions. I think most Giant fans on this topic agree with me and Baddog, at least for this year's draft. I think most Giant fans, when it came to Dave Gettleman, probably agreed with you. But we'll find out. I mean, listen, if they take Willis, I hope you're right. I hope he's the second coming of whoever you think he's going to be, and he's the greatest quarterback of all time. And there's more than one way to build a football team.
You compare to Mike Vick a lot. That seems to be the guy. Listen, Dave Gettleman, I can't say from the get-go that I knew whether Dave Gettleman was going to be good for this.
I wanted to give him an opportunity.
I didn't know. I mean, I don't know. I didn't know what his plan was. And to be honest, I had no problem with the Saquon Barkley pick. I didn't. I thought he was the best player available. And I thought when he took Will Hernandez in the second round, I thought it was a great pick. I thought Will Hernandez was a great pick. It didn't turn out to be. And a lot of things Dave Gettleman did were wrong, but I think that he tried. The Nate Solder thing failed, but I had to give him credit. He went out and got the best available tackle he could get. He got stuck with a bad situation because we never addressed the line. He tried, it failed. Did he make some head scratch moves? I know a lot of people hated him after he traded Beckham. That was really what I think made everybody hate the guy.
Yeah,
was when he traded Beckham. I think that's people really turned on him after that. But again, I don't know if Shane's the right guy. We could be having this conversation 3 years from now saying, oh, man, Joe Shane sucked. I mean, why did he only take a quarterback at 5? We weren't ready for you never know. Or in 3 years from now, we can saying, damn, he made the right decisions and all these linemen are great or the quarterback is great or whatever he did in the draft was great. I don't know what Shane's going to do. But whatever he does, we have to give him an opportunity to rebuild because what he's left is a pile of garbage. And what Gettleman was left was a pile of garbage. As Gettleman didn't make that pile of garbage go away, he made it bigger. So Shane's got a lot of work to do, but I'm not going to. If the Giants win 2 games this year, I'm not going to sit here and go, Shane sucks. This team sucks.
I don't think the Giants are going to win. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I don't think the Giants are going to win a whole lot of games next year. I don't think they're going to win 2 games, but I don't expect them to go out there and light the league on fire. They're rebuilding, so it's going to take some time.
Yeah. Dutch, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, what's funny is that Roldy and Chris and the Baddog are both right. Physical talent is worth taking a shot, but on this roster won't allow them to develop. And
I agree with that.
That's the problem. That's my point completely is that he's got nothing here. We are the Liberty of the NFL.
Yeah, if we had a more established roster, I'm willing to take a shot on a project with some of the upside that a guy like Malik Willis has. But we don't. We have a lot of holes.
To me, this isn't about Malik Willis not being able to play in the NFL. It is about the garbage that is around Malik Willis if the Giants drafted him. And my thought that, yes, he's going to have a hard time developing, and it may stunt him, and it may take his confidence away. And that may have happened with Daniel Jones. I mean, who the hell knows? I don't know. Malik Willis is an athletic talent. There is no question about that. But you know what? He has a tendency to stare down receivers big time.
If we had a situation like the Niners last year, because I view even though I think Trey Lance personally was a better prospect than Malik Willis, I was in love with Trey Lance, but he's a guy with upside and physical tools and not necessarily the most polished guy, and he hadn't played in a year. If we had a situation like the 49ers, I'm not complaining about taking him. I might even be on board with taking a guy like Malik Willis.
I agree.
We don't have that. We're not even close to having that.
If we had a more established offensive line and a more established team that is like Washington,
and
where it's like we're a quarterback away, I'm in. But there's so many damn holes on this team besides a quarterback. And it's just my philosophy, Roldy. You got to build the trend. The game is still won at the line of scrimmage, and we lose that battle every game. And no matter how good the quarterback is, so if Malik Willis comes in here and we win 6 games, what does that mean? I mean, that's the thing. So, I don't know. Davey, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, this Roldy guy is not stop nonsense. He's just passionate. I get it. I'm passionate too. And that's why I like Roldy. I'm the same way. I will argue a point till I'm blue in the face. So I respect Roldy for that. I get it.
We all have opinions.
Yes. He says taking a quarterback now is like buying an engine with no car. This guy dominates the chat with bad takes. I don't know if it's a bad take, but like I said, he's passionate about his opinion. I respect that. And I love to hear everybody's opinion. It's not like he's saying you guys are freaking stupid. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. He's just saying, listen, it's bullshit. I don't agree with you. I'm fine with that. But I agree with you, Davey. It's like buying an engine with no car. It's like buying a car with no engine. We don't have it. We don't have the team to build for him to. I just worry about he's raw. I don't want a raw talent coming into a lousy situation because he'll never develop if that's the case.
Yeah.
We suck, unfortunately.
Yeah.
We suck.
We're trash.
I wish we didn't suck. LA Lou, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. He says, I said this before. I wish last year, Chris, we were, 8-9 or 9-8, and Daniel Jones was terrible. And we're like, well, if we get a quarterback in here, we're going to be really good. And then we could go after Malik Willis. I wish that was the case. I wish that's where we were, was just, we need a quarterback.
Or I wish that Malik Willis was like a no doubt prospect.
Right.
That you have to draft, which I do not feel he is.
Right.
Yeah.
But Eliu says, I feel the quarterbacks in this draft class most likely succeed is Desmond Ridder. And I feel the ideal team for him is the Steelers.
I could see him going to the Steelers. I could see him going to the Steelers. I wouldn't be surprised if he does.
Yeah. So they I don't know. Well, the Steelers like Malik Willis too. So, DB, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. He says, I like how Dable is asking for players' input.
Yeah, I mean that was the book on him when we got him. He's a guy that's going to work with the players, and that's what he did with Buffalo. When you read what Josh Allen had to say about him and all the former players, so not surprised by that. We'll see how he does as a head coach.
Roldy, one of these days we will have. One of these days we've talked about that, having people.
Maybe draft week we'll do that.
Right.
Maybe
that could be something we do during the day.
Yeah, maybe we'll have a draft. One of the draft shows we'll have people calling.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you can go all about the quarterback situation.
Yeah.
Clock, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, sorry, dog. TB or God's not going to make 21 line look good. Well, I don't know. I think Tom Brady can make any line look pretty good.
You're talking about our offensive line last year?
I mean, he made Nate Solder look great.
He did.
Tom Brady got Nate Solder paid.
He did.
I'm not saying that Tom Brady would make our line look good. He would make it look better, though.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Kind of like, a good secondary makes your defensive line look better. You know what I mean? That type of
Just
thing.
like Aaron Rodgers, same thing. I mean, people say how good the Packers' offensive line is. I don't know if they'd be as good if they didn't have a pre-snap quarterback like Aaron Rodgers. And, I definitely think the quarterback plays a factor.
Yeah. LA Lou, have a great night, buddy. Always good to see you. I'll be back on Tuesday for the beating that the Lakers are going to take. But I wonder if the Suns can beat them by 60. We're going to see.
I keep seeing DJB say this, and it's a fair point. But to me, it's a one-off. Tell me, he says, who thought the Bengals would win now when they were considered a rebuild? I don't understand. Sure, that's an instance. Joe Burrow was much higher. If you're being honest, Joe Burrow was much higher regarded than Malik Willis. Let's be honest here. Yeah. Joe Burrow was first overall in a much stronger quarterback draft class than this one that included Justin Herbert. So if there was a quarterback that was thought of as highly as Joe Burrow was in this draft class, I'd probably be in favor of taking him, and he more than likely wouldn't get to us at fifth overall. Okay, so I don't think Malik Willis is as highly regarded as a prospect like Joe Burrow. He went ahead of Justin Herbert. So right. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's kind of apples and oranges when you're comparing this quarterback draft class to Joe Burrow. But yeah, it's a fair. But again, I could point to 20 other scenarios where a guy was thought to be a good quarterback who went into a horrible circumstance and it worked out horribly. So yeah. Sure, there's one-offs. It happens. The quarterback's the most unpredictable position in sports. Sometimes it works.
I agree.
I'm not telling you it's impossible to work. It could work.
Rolly, thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. He says, guys need to talk now. Please let me call right now. Well, I mean, we're only going to be live for like another 5 minutes. So
yeah. And I don't feel like getting tortured, getting ranted on for and this to go on for another 30 minutes of you screaming at me. So we'll do it another time.
But seriously, I mean, that's something we probably will definitely do during the draft week is have people call up or whatever. But yeah, it's just like I said. I mean, we're gonna go like 2 hours, and then it'll be because I know that'll take a lot longer. And I got to work in the morning. Normally, this isn't on a Sunday, so I got to get up at 5 in the morning, which always sucks. I sucks. Matthew, thank you, buddy. He says, Baddog say you.
It's something that I think Cristiano Ronaldo says when he scores goals. I think somebody told me that.
What is it?
I want you to say that.
How do you say it? Sue!
I guess. Yeah.
I don't know. LA Lou, thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. He says, do it after 5 p.m. Pacific. I don't want to miss that. Oh, no, this will be during the day because I'm on vacation. the draft. You talking about the draft?
It's going to be like a 12-2, a 1-3.
Yeah, 11-1, 12-2, somewhere in there. It'll be in the middle of the day, because it's just, again, that I can't do that every night when my wife and son are home. But when my son's in school and my wife's at work, and I'm here by myself, it just makes sense to do it at that point. And I think a lot of people like to tune in during lunch. Those seem to be pretty popular times. I think that'd be fun leading up to the drafts. I think we'll have a good time with that for sure.
For sure.
Judge, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. He says, y'all seriously need to go watch Chris Sims' breakdown on all the quarterbacks this year. It's pretty eye-popping. He's a good quarterback evaluator.
I watched it, and I think Chris Sims is a good evaluator. And if you did watch it, he's not in love with Malik Willis. He and Malik Willis ranked the third best quarterback in this draft class. His number one quarterback was who was his number one quarterback? It wasn't Ritter. It was I don't think it was Pickett.
Was it Corral?
It was Corral. It was Matt Corral. Matt Corral was his number one. I want to say Pickett was 2. I could be wrong on that. And I know Malik Willis was 3. Yeah, but he always does a good job with breaking down the quarterbacks.
Yeah. Well, I don't like Pickett.
I like Corral more than Pickett.
Yeah, me too. I like Malik Willis.
Corral's an underrated arm. I remember I watched some of his.
I like Risman. I like Desmond Ritter better than Pickett. I don't like Pickett.
Yeah,
I don't like Pickett at all. Pickett could go to the second round. Seriously, I think he could fall to the second round. Albin says quarterbacks only a 30% hit rate. It's tough.
Probably not even.
Chris just named you a bunch of quarterbacks that went.
There's several teams that have never even had a franchise quarterback,
Right.
And it's not because they haven't drafted them. So it's hard, and there's a lot of variables. Some of it is obviously evaluating the position, but I mean, a lot of these busts that were quarterbacks, most teams would have taken them. Right. A guy like Trevor Lawrence, not saying he's a bust. I think he's definitely going to improve this year, but almost any team in the league would have taken him last year if they had the first pick. But it comes down to what is the situation that he inherits. A lot of it comes down to the surrounding talent around him, the offensive scheme, so on and so forth. Not every quarterback that is labeled a bust would be a bust if they were in a different scenario.
Right. Clark says, sir, you guys are crazy. The line was a disaster. No way anyone could do. Listen, I'm not saying Tom Brady would have been an MVP candidate behind our line. My point is, you can make a bad offensive line better when you're more decisive and get rid of the foot. There's a reason guys like Brady don't get sacked, and guys like Dan Marino didn't get sacked, because in Peyton Manning, they didn't get sacked. They didn't have a lick of mobility, but they never got hit because they got rid of the ball so fast. So that's my point. I'm not saying Tom Brady would put up 4,500 yards and 45 touchdowns with this line, but he would have made the line look better than Daniel Jones makes it look.
Yeah. Tom Brady would have retired if he was a Giant last year.
Tom Brady would have retired 10 years ago.
There's no way he would have stayed coming back playing football behind that line. So.
Eli was probably like, when Eli signed his last contract, he's probably like, why did I do this to myself?
Russell Wilson did what Eli should have did. Russell Wilson was in a horrible situation with the Seahawks with a horrible offensive line, and I'm assuming he forced his way out of there. Yep. And that's what Eli should have did. I looked at Seattle. They were doing to Russ what the Giants did to Eli in the later portion of his career. Yes. And now I think Wilson will be successful with Denver.
Yeah. Wilson's great anyway.
Oh, he's fantastic.
LA Lou, thank you so much. If the call-in is during the draft, then we're good because I'm taking those days off. Well, it won't be during the draft because we'll be covering the draft. But like I said,
it's gonna be like the 4 days leading up to the draft.
Right. It'll be around lunchtime in New York. So it's going to be early for you. It would be 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Just because, again, it's when I'm, done at whatever we do at 11 to 1 or 12 to 2, I can go to the gym. I can get that done. Then I can go get my kid. And then I have the rest of the night with my wife and my son. So, that's what I'm looking forward to. But, take a day off. The hell. Take a day off. I'm taking 2 weeks. To hell with it. I'm done. Roldy, thank you, brother. Appreciate it, my man. He says, by the way, Baddog, I'm going to LA for the first time. I'm excited. I'm going to the Lakers game, sitting 4 rows behind the Laker bench. Let Russell Westbrook know that he sucks. Can you do me a favor, Roldy? When you're there, can you tell Frank Vogel he's a bitch? Can you just tell me that? Please. I bet you Russell Westbrook wouldn't come over to you, Roldy, go, what'd you say? What'd you say? Did you see that? There was an Instagram thing. So some kid was saying Westbrook was shooting around. He goes, Westbrook, you're my favorite player. Whatever. It's like, Westbrook, I love you. And he goes, what'd you call me? And he's like, Westbrook. And then he gets close. He goes, what'd you call me? And he's like, I said Westbrook. I said Westbrook. It's hilarious. It's pretty funny. He says, rebuilds a team. You take a franchise quarterback, then left tackle and edge. Well, we tried.
There's no perfect formula.
But we tried.
You can do it that
Daniel
way.
Jones.
Yeah.
Then we took Andrew Thomas. We guess we just didn't. I mean, I don't know if Ojulari's an edge, but
there's no perfect formula. You could do it several different ways. There are some teams that Joe Burrow, for example. But to be fair, the Bengals did draft a left tackle the previous year. Jonah Williams, he got hurt, or 2 years prior, whatever it was. So they did take a left tackle in a previous draft in the first round. I think he was like 10th overall. But he just got hurt, I think, in his rookie season. But yeah, there's several different ways to do it. The Rams don't build a team like most teams. They trade away all their draft picks and they bring in established veterans. So there's several different ways to build a football team. There is no perfect scenario.
Correct. I'll just say this, Roldy. Listen, I don't prefer them to take a quarterback, but if they took Malik Willis, I'm not going to be upset. I'm not going to sit here and have a Daniel Jones reaction. Why the hell they take this guy? What are they doing? I'm not doing that. We're just telling you fine with that.
Yeah, we're telling you what we think they should do. It doesn't mean we're right.
If they decided they were going to take Ekwonu and then they went Malik Willis, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to be upset. They went Malik Willis and then went Cross. I'm not going to be, or Ekwonu or whatever. I'm not going to be upset about it. I'm fine with it. It's just not my preference. Like some guys want the Giants to take Kyle Hamilton in the top 10. I said, I don't want to save in the top 10. I'm not saying Kyle Hamilton's not a good prospect. I just don't think the Giants need a safety right now. And that's what I'm saying. I just feel like we need to establish more of a base foundation for whoever the hell the quarterback is. But again, if they want to go roll, they want to go Roldy Lewis. Well, if you want to play quarterback Roldy, that's good. If they want to go Malik Willis, and like I said, sit him on the bench. But what would you do with Daniel Jones? This is the other reason why I don't believe that unless they trade him, why they're not going quarterback, because they're Tyrod Taylor to a $17 million contract, and they're not going to trade him.
They're not going to trade him because there's no market for him.
Right. So this is why I don't think they're taking.
What are you going to go into the year with 3 quarterbacks? I don't think so.
That's what I mean. You're not going to. You didn't just pay Tyrod Taylor $17 million to take a quarterback, especially when you're strapped for cash. It just that's what I mean. The Giants are not the fit for him. Right now, if he came out next year, maybe he would be the guy. But just the way they're constructed right now.
Maybe Roldy will be right. And on draft night, if he's right, Roldy, I'm going to point to you in the stream. I'm going to say, Roldy, you got it right. As long as you give us credit when they don't take the quarterback, because I don't think they are.
Well, no, I don't think he's saying that we're going to be wrong about them not taking it. He's saying he doesn't like the fact that we don't want them to take one. I think that's.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Roldy. We don't agree. Sorry.
Oh, man. On that note, I think we're going to end it here. But
did you read that super chat just to make?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not. Pencil Man, thank you for the super chat, brother. I appreciate it. He said, if Willis played in the SEC, would he have produced the same numbers? It's a great question because think about it. If he played in the SEC, it would have depended on which SEC team he played for. But the talent in the SEC is much better than it is at Liberty. So it's tough. He'd be
going up against much better talent, and he'd have much better talent. So
right.
He was in the SEC. He was a backup. Then he went to Liberty.
Right. So, he was at Auburn. And
not to say that Auburn made the right decision, but he initially was in the SEC. But
he's got to be better than Bo Nix. I don't think Auburn did make the right
decision. They made the wrong choice. But I mean, maybe they just felt like Willis didn't fit their scheme. Right. I don't know. I don't know Auburn football.
And remember this, Dwayne Haskins put up incredible numbers.
Numbers in college mean nothing to me.
It's the guy I always use when guys are like, look at the numbers here, look at the numbers, look at Jalen Hurts' numbers. I'm like, look at I say this all the time. Look up Graham Harrell's numbers at Texas Tech. Look at his junior and senior year. The man threw for over 5,000 yards, or I'm sorry, he threw for over almost 11,000 yards his last 2 years and almost 110 touchdowns in 2 years. The man threw 4 passes in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's another Texas Tech quarterback came out of it pretty good. think his name is Pat Mahomes or something. You know. Roldy, thank you, brother. I appreciate it. He says in the chat, I apologize if I was going off. I'm just passionate. Everything I do is out of respect for Baddog and Chris, always, and I respect all you guys and your opinions. I just have mine. Roldy.
Yeah,
No,
we got no
Roldy. You know me. Who? I mean, you've been parts of this channel for how many years? You're in all the live streams. You're in the football live streams. You watch the videos. You know how I am, so I get it. I get this more than anybody else because I get
it too because every stream I do, Roldy's coming at me, so I'm used to Roldy by now, and I respect it.
Oh, I'm just saying, no,
yeah, I'm just saying. Listen, it's all based off opinion. I'm never gonna, as long as people show me respect, like they don't. If they come at me and they say, "Oh, Chris, you're an idiot," no, then you go piss off.
Right.
But as long as people show me respect, I'm always open to other opinions, and I respect everybody's opinion as long as people respect mine. I mean, that's what's fun about talking about sports. As long as you're respectful, I'm always open to other people's opinions. I'm always gonna be strong with mine though, and that's what makes it fun.
People call me an idiot. They're usually spot on, but I own that. That's okay. It's okay. Anyway, on that note, let's get out of here. Chris, once again, I thank you for coming on the channel. I can't wait. Draft is getting closer. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun. That is such a fun weekend. And I'm looking forward to having that whole week off and talking draft and pretty much having talking Giants every day of the week. That week, that's going to be a lot of fun. And as always, chat, you guys and girls are awesome. Great questions, great comments. As always, it's going to be very interesting. It's a big draft. We have 2 top 10 picks and so many options, and we're so many mocks and so many opinions, but we're not going to know until April 28th. And looking forward to sharing it with all you guys and girls, and hopefully we nail this draft. That's really it. So,
yeah, I can't wait for the draft. I hope Roldy films his reaction when we take a right tackle at 5. And no, I'm just kidding. No, I can't wait for the draft, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the Giants do. I'm going to stay strong on what I think they're going to do. I think they're going right tackle and either a cornerback or an edge. But regardless of what they do, I hope they start building the team the right way. I'm not, like we've said throughout the entire stream, I'm not going to be a guy that only looks at it from one perspective. There's many ways they could go about doing this rebuild, and I'm really excited to see the route that the Giants take this offseason. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for all the support. Hopefully next week we have more to talk about. I think we probably will. By that point, maybe there'll be some more rumors. Maybe we'll get some information on the James Bradberry situation. Yep. And we'll definitely probably have that answer, leading up into the draft. I still think it's possible we could trade Bradberry on draft night. If we don't trade him before it. But I think at some point he's going to get traded. But we'll see. But Baddog, thanks for having me on. Looking forward to having you on the channel next week. And talk some New York Giants.
Yeah, listen, next week we can just talk about all the wide receivers that are going to be Giants, and we can just talk about how DK Metcalf and AJ Brown and whoever the hell else you want, Juju Smith-Schuster, and they're all going to be Giants. We could just do that, like all the other content creators, and just make it. We got to trade for this guy. We got to trade for that guy. They must think it's Madden. You can just trade for. You know how tough it is to make trades in the NFL. That does not happen a lot.
Yeah.
But
no, it's very rare. We can't make trades. We have no cap space anyway.
It doesn't matter. The Eagles can make every trade in the book and sign every free agent. We talked about this before. Let's just name all the teams in the NFL, the Eagles, and problem solve. So we're getting out of here. Thank you once again, guys, girls, for all the support. Really do appreciate it. For the Entertainment Talking Sports Bad Daily Dizzle, Mondays tomorrow. But enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And have a great night. We gone. Peace.